a breach of the law, there was a breach of this and the other. It'll not be that. It'll not be the legal side. It'll be the politics of it.
Absolutely.
And playing politics with such a position, I think there was a mistake when Dr. Rosalie Nakombe left and nothing was done. When the other three commissioners just suddenly just resigned, led by the vice chairperson, and nothing was done. So there's that feeling of, if I just get a call or if I just wake up and I feel like I don't... Can you imagine? Let's even assume that there's somewhere in the regulations and procedures of the IEBC that says that the result shall be announced upon a
unanimous decision.
Yes, of a commission. And then they are not unanimous. So what happens? So there can be, we shall say that the vote of the will of the people cannot be declared because the 7 commissioners
were not unanimous in
are
their
not unanimous.
deliberations. And this is the thing. Any judge worth their salt will ask the question, because if we're talking about process here, the process up until 4 p.m. yesterday, you participated in. The process up until then, you participated in the announcement of results from constituency level from Wednesday.
Actually, let's give them a little leeway to travel from Bomas to Serena. So
Okay, sawa. Bomas to Serena, okay, maybe.
They give them up to 2 o'clock.
Okay, sawa.
Yes.
2 o'clock.
Because they
Until
walked to
2
Serena.
o'clock, you participated in this process. From
Even
Tuesday,
if you walk to Serena
the
from
9th,
Bomas.
let's just not even talk about anything that happened prior to the 9th of August.
Let's say-
From Tuesday, the 9th of
let's say-
August until 2 p.m. yesterday, the
No,
15th.
let's not even go to 2 p.m. because we didn't see them yesterday, the whole day yesterday. Let's give them until Sunday night.
Nisawa.
Okay.
Because we saw Cherera herself
Yes.
come to the podium on a number of
Sunday.
occasions to come and announce. You did not see anything untoward happening that you felt was serious enough for you to come and say, actually, you know what, guys? Stop the count. This is not working. I'm sorry. But what was done yesterday, I'm sorry, was bordering on malicious. It's not fair. You don't do that to people who are waiting and hoping that they can get something in terms of light at the end of the tunnel. You don't do that. And then when you even do it, you're not even clear. You're like the guy who comes and says, Siti, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's somebody to see you. Okay, what is it about? Because I'm in a very important meeting. No, please, just step out here. I'll let you know. Come on, man. It's either you're telling me or you're not. And let's move on. Don't do it.
You know, the problem with our elections is not who is declared president, but we have such phenomenally grand mistrust about the entire process.
Yep.
That is why any announcement then is treated with the same sentiment of mistrust and distrust and the whole caboodle that comes with disbelief. Now, you are a commissioner. You are among the people who are charged with this enormous duty. And then you come before us to serve us a dish of opaqueness, complete vagueness. And you know how serious this matter is. These people were all alive in the year 2000, 2008. They were there.
Yeah.
What do they think happened? In the years that we've had elections, with the exception of 2002, what do they think actually happened?
What they needed to do, regardless of how... But look, let's be honest, guys. It could be that what they have, if they have anything, is monumental. It could be. And I'm saying something, if it was that monumental in nature, come out and say it. This is what it was.
Be very clear.
Be very clear. This is what was happening. We will not be a part of it because of 1, 2, 3. We've lodged our complaint with 1, 2, 3. We know how serious things are. This is what had happened.
You know
But
this,
then you're just,
this
Greg.
Kenyan thing of accept and move on. No? Should we then also perhaps just sit back and accept that the requirement for leadership is vagueness, that you need to be wishy-washy. You need to be neither here nor there in your speak.
Throw in some flip-flop.
Yes, sound as though you've taken a position, whereas in reality you have taken no position. Then you come out and say you have spoken. To speak, yes, you can utter words, but surely the words ought to have meanings that one can easily understand.
Yeah.
They didn't do well. I'm sorry.
It is not right. It is not right. And, I mean, we did not see this with the Isaac Hassan Commission. We do not even see this with the Kivoito Commission. Despite everything that happened in 2007, we did not see commissioners coming out to start saying, by the way, but you see, but me, I disagree. But
No, we didn't.
And we're distancing
didn't.
ourselves from the last process.
They never said anything about, Kivui to read that thing by. No. Now, here we are, the second time running, we are seeing commissioners coming out to say, we have had issues, and this is at the end of the process. Where were you all this time?
Where were you?
You can't just keep quiet like that. And then also, on the other hand, this is not a good sign, a good showing of Wafula Chebukati's. There's something there. There's something about lack of control and leadership.
Whether we like it or
Of the
not.
ship.
Whether we like it or not, in as much as he's been called a hero with all these glowing tributes, that's great.
Who has called him a hero exactly?
President-elect said
Oh.
that the hero of the process was
Oh,
Chebukati.
no. We must give room for someone to air his opinion.
No, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. In as much as he was called one,
Yes.
this is all rumblings of a ship gone sink. Because look at if half the folks that you were...
Half. It's more than half.
If half the folks that you were on
All the new chaps that have joined you.
are not on the same page as you clearly from what they're saying, then there's a problem. There's a problem. And I've been saying it. IEBC had set themselves up a long time for anybody with rolls of ammunition to come at them. And here is just another way in which they can happen.
Actually, no. IEBC did not set itself up. Huh? If you look at how it is we've chosen our commissioners and how we've chosen the chairman of these commissions, let's talk about the Electoral Commission, all right? This one, we are not going to blame Chebukati. No. Chebukati didn't elect himself. Chebukati didn't give himself the job.
Or even all the other commissioners.
No. They were
They were
given.
nominated.
Yes. The political process that we belong to and the way they go about things, everything that we're discussing here and the way it is turning out, it is an indictment of our political process and how it is we manage our politics. Now, it is okay to shout wolf. It is okay to say things are wrong. But if you look at the way we even choose, political parties in this country are given options to decide who it is they think should be in that commission. Okay?
So somebody goes in there to serve some master.
Precisely.
They have a
This
brief.
story of serving the people of
Yeah,
Kenya.
for
What
sure.
time?
No. It's the person there's a ring you're
Directly
there's-
translated from Kiswahili.
Yeah. Well done. It's the ring you're
Sangapi.
What time? It's the ring you're kissing, isn't it? Yeah. What time? Sheesh. Okay.
Sangapi.
I mean, sincerely speaking, if we do,
Yes.
we are not going to join this band of merrymakers who I am happy that the quartet gave us the word opaque. It is good. We have a process that functions in the way we see it functioning, and it produces the sort of leaders that we see, and it allows for the processes that we see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, if noise is to be made, you make it from day one and you continue making it.
This is what I'm saying. Because at the time this said noise was being made, it's just noise. If you knew that there was something wrong, why didn't you open your mouth before? I'm sorry, but you cannot do that to Kenyans. Not at the hour in which you choose to do that. You can't. You'd rather have kept quiet, honestly. You can't do that to them at that point because you did not know. You did not know just yesterday that there was a problem. Why did you not speak up before? And then why were you involved in the process prior to that?
Anyway, let's wait and see. See, they said they're going to give a comprehensive statement later.
Okay.
Let us wait. But let's not wait. Let's just move on with our lives.
Yes.
It may come,
You
it may
don't
not.
Eric, wait.
As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
with this process of ours, when I see
It's
and
when
I
you
verify,
believe.
then I believe. Before then,
What time?
Story.
the thing is, I've heard you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've heard. Well
I've heard
done.
you.
Yeah.
What story are you looking at, City?
Actually, I'm looking at, well, let me tell you what I was looking at and which I found interesting. Economic jitters as split IBC declare Ruto president-elect. Chaos erupts at election tallying centers before result. Look at the way we write things. That was a scuffle It was a melee. It was not chaos. Chaos would have meant everybody in Bomas took off and the announcement didn't take place. That's chaos. A small little disruption. People moving back and forth and a few people jumping over chairs. That is not chaos. The election of Deputy President William Ruto by a narrow margin in a tight presidential race and the split of the Electoral Commission has set the stage for a Supreme Court challenge that risks prolonging a slowdown in economic activity. Business across sectors have reported reduced activity since the opening of last Tuesday's vote in the economy, plagued with sky-high inflation, scarce jobs, and mounting public debt. Minutes before the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Ofolo Chebukati, announced that Ruto had won the vote, his deputy, Juliana Cherera, told a separate, let me turn the page, separate media briefing that she and 3 other commissioners had disowned the results. Analysts reckon that the uncertainty over the presidential poll results and a possible contest at the Supreme Court will dampen investors' activity. A delay in having a new government looks set to freeze government spending on big projects amidst the immediate need to tackle economic woes like rising inflation and policy direction on maize and fuel subsidies. The stock market, which closed before the announcement of the presidential vote winners, remained unchanged at the close of voting or trading yesterday. You know,
So the market jitters.
so they say. What I like about this story was just this. They've changed the narrative from just the political narrative of we have had an election, people have issues, there are disputes arising, and they're saying there's an economy that we need to focus on. This economy was not doing very well before the elections. It's now set to do worse. Because when you say they're jitters, it means people are not going to continue doing the things that they were doing because they are uncertain. Okay? Now that is, I like that story because it takes our minds ever so briefly from the politics of the day to what is happening.
To the reality.
Yes, this is what's happening in the economy, folks. And if I may add, it means anything that you do, you focus on disruption. You are unhappy. By all means, protest, but protest peacefully.
Yes, yes.
You disagree. By all means, disagree. Disagree peacefully.
Yep.
Okay? Don't look for another human being to target.
True. Or property.
Or somebody's
Or
property.
property.
business.
Yeah.
If you really feel that there's something you must burn and you have a tire in your backyard, burn the tire. And please don't burn in the middle of the road because people use the middle of the road. I am saying the activities that we engage in, if they are disruptive, they will further this decline in the activity of the economy that we are speaking of.
Yeah.
And that is something we must avoid.
Yep.
Yes.
We must safeguard our economy at all costs.
That's true.
Can I tell you an interesting story?
Please do.
It's on page 22 of The Nation.
Okay. You want to tell me the story. So I
Yeah.
give you the nation. You want
Read
me
it.
to read it.
Happy story. Happy story, yo.
Happy story, yo.
Yes.
I want to tell you a story. Yo.
Page 22,
22. You've got it.
column 1.
22 is normally after what?
21.
This page is a smudged.
It's the one before, I think, the smart business thing.
Hmm?
The one
Can
before the
government
pill out.
spend? No.
That's it.
Yeah,
There,
Okay,
you found
found
it.
I found it.
Okay. There are 3 stories. Which one do you want?
First column.
Go to court.
No.
Is Casual Labour 21 Kenya's youngest ward rep?
That one.
All right. At 21 years old, Casual Labourer could well be Kenya's youngest MCA after he defeated a strong field to clinch the Kigoi and Tubuochio ward in Igembe South constituency. Mr. Timothy Mutwiri's win again propelled to the national limelight the constituency that in 2017 attracted attention after producing the youngest MP, Mr. John Paul Mweregi. The Form 4 leaver, interestingly enough, who hails from Itumi village, whose main cash crops are Miraa and tea, garnered 2,901 votes to beat a rich field of 20 veteran politicians. Among those felled by Mr. Mutwiri were outgoing MCA Ithubwa Kimathi and former MCA Henry Moria, who was once chairman of the defunct Nyambene County Council, nicknamed Kabako. Mr. Mutwiri captured the hearts of residents, creating a cult-like wave that propelled him to victory. The former construction worker said he was bitten by the political bug in Standard 8. He shared his dream with his dismissive adolescent classmates that would one day contest a political seat. His ambition was boosted in 2017 when Mr. Mwirigi, then a political greenhorn, contested and won the Gembe South parliamentary seat. We would like to skip school and join John Paul on the campaign trail, hiding in the shadows. And I got motivated, he said. He has been my mentor and role model, although he does not know me. So at the 2022 polls drew closer, Mutwiri resolved to kick off his campaign for the ward seat, even though he registered as a voter. Even before he registered as a voter. However, he did not first seek his parents' blessings as he embarked on a vote-hunting mission because he felt that they would discourage him. And he goes on to win the seat.
21 years of age.
Former construction worker, Form 4
Yep.
leaver.
And the guy is now joining.
These Igembe people seem to not fear electing people.
Yes.
No.
No, they don't fear. If
No.
you fit the bill,
Yeah,
they
we
elect
give
you.
you
Poor.
Yes,
governor, MC.
It's not about the money.
No. Elect you, then see what you can do with this one.
It's not about the money.
No.
He has defeated 2 former MCAs. One is the former chair of the Nyambene County. Big people.
Even one that he had previously had been his mentee.
He had
No, that one
implemented-
he has not. That one is the MP.
Is the current MP. All right.
Is the John Paul Mwirigi,
Right,
who
yeah.
has retained that seat.
That seat. I mean, good story, isn't it?
Oh, no. This one is what you
Public
call
participation is
heartwarming
here.
story.
Yeah. I love to hear it, And here's a kid who clearly has beat all the odds. He's not educated as such. He's a Form 4 leaver, didn't do anything beyond Form 4. But many would argue that, look, his pure passion was enough to put
If
him
you
out
look
there.
at the story of John Paul Mwirigi, it's something similar.
Yep.
That man was a university leaver, didn't have a coin to his name. As they said, they didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. But it's what he did for his people. And you know what it was? He simply made sure that the Form 4 results in his constituency kept improving. He took the step to ensure that they improved. People said, wait a moment, if this guy who has nothing can do this, why don't we give him something
Let's
so that
give
we
him-
can see how much more he can do now? That they have re-elected him tells you the man has done what he said he was going to do.
Yep.
Because people who are this quick to elect, they're also quick to eject. They'll get rid of you very quickly.
Chap. It's a very good story. I mean, listening to this and you can hear the community is not really bothered about how much money do you have. They go straight into, okay, do you seem passionate enough?
Yeah. And that was enough for them.
Yeah.
Because did you hear that they were focusing on promises? I will do what? No. It's raw. It's there. We can see
Yeah.
this guy wants this thing. We can give it to him. Yeah.
And that's it. It's okay. You go to the county assembly,
You
represent
work when
us.
you're there.
Yes, you'll come back here and tell us things. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. It's coming up to 7 o'clock. In the next hour, we talk to a commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Dr. Danvas Makori. Let's talk about maintaining the peace, especially after yesterday, going into the next couple of days, up to the moment when a new president is sworn into office and takes over a government. Let us maintain the peace. Why? That's what we'll be talking about. Good morning.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Deputy President William Ruto was declared the president-elect after sailing past the 50% plus one constitutional threshold that requires a winner in a presidential election to garner 50% votes cast and an additional vote to avoid a runoff. The UDA candidate garnered 7,176,141 votes, that is 50.49% votes, beating his closest challenger Azimio's Raila Odinga, who managed to garner 6,942,930 votes, which is 48.85%. Odinga, a veteran opposition leader, was making his fifth stab with the backing of the ruling party led by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And President-elect William Ruto has attributed his victory to God, whom he said enabled him to weather the storms to become Kenya's fifth president. In his opening remarks soon after being declared the winner of the August 9th contest, Ruto said he managed to get to the finish line by God's grace. Ruto further thanked Kenyans for upholding peace during the entire period, saying they have jointly with the candidates raised the bar. Ruto said because of the bar raised by Kenyans means that no one lost the election, as the election was not marked by any incidents. The president-elect further paid tribute to the IEBC, saying they are the heroes of the election. And President-elect William Ruto's national security status changed immediately after he was declared the winner of the August 9th presidential election. To start with, the President-elect will from today start receiving briefings from the respective national security organs. Both Ruto and Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua security detail was beefed up immediately after they were pronounced election winners by IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati. According to Kenya's constitution, the Assumption of Office Committee is mandated to accord the two adequate security committee should. The committee also should ensure the president-elect under Section 9 receives security briefings from the respective national security organs and any other required information from public officers. And Ruto has said he will work with his competitors in the role that the Constitution assigns them in the opposition. Speaking during an interview after he was declared the winner of the 2022 election, he said Azimio will provide oversight over his government, saying he intends to work with them in that capacity. The president-elect said he called his competitor Raila Odinga, and their discussion they agreed that whatever the outcome of the election, they should have a conversation. He dismissed the deep state and the system narrative, saying the people of Kenya are more powerful than the said entities. And the U.S. Embassy has urged all parties to work together to peacefully resolve any remaining concerns about this election through existing dispute resolution mechanisms. In a statement, the embassy asked all political party leaders to continue to urge their supporters to remain peaceful and refrain from violence during the electoral process. The calls by the embassy come amid unrest in some parts of the country after the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati declared William Ruto the president-elect. Meanwhile, residents of Eldoret town in Uasin Gishu County thronged the streets to celebrate William Ruto's presidential win. The crowd that had converged as early as 12 p.m. to follow events at the Bomas of Kenya from a giant screen erected along Uganda Road erupted into celebrations as soon as the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission chairperson Wafula Chebukati announced that Ruto was the winner of the Tuesday, August 9th general election. Jubilation, dancing, singing and chants rent the air as crowds filled the streets to express joy over their son's entry into the country's topmost office. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock and not much in terms of action in the city this morning. We're looking at traffic coming off Mombasa Road, which is all right. Off the Thika Superhighway, there's absolutely nothing. A few minutes after 7 o'clock and it's free flow of traffic. Jogo Road as well. We're not seeing anything happening here. Lunga Lunga connecting with Likoni and then onto the interchange connecting with the Southern Bypass looks good as well. Langata Road, again, nothing here. Looks like Ghost Town. Gong Road and then connecting with Valley Road coming out towards the CBD as well looks pretty good. Let's take a look in another half hour and see if there's going to be an issue. But for now, if you're on these streets, you know that it's flowing. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's talk there and see how we can share information as the day ticks by.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in
7 minutes
punching
after
up,
7. Good
not
morning.
down.
How are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. This morning, 16th day of August 2022. We will be talking about election bilanoma because we are still in that cycle. But before we welcome our guest, the day's proverb, City.
We're still in the country of Cameroon, and we are still reading our proverbs in pidgin. Khaki be no leather. How did you say you would say it?
Khaki no be leather.
All right, fine.
So interchange them, no and be.
No and be, yes.
Okay.
Now, both are strong fabrics, but khaki is not equal to leather in terms of strength.
Okay. Kaki no be leather. Is it be no leather or no be leather?
No be. It's not.
Okay. Kaki no be
No be
leather.
leather.
Kaki no be leather.
Like saying this election no be beans. Oh. No be beans.
No be beans. Dr. Danvers Makori, Commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Good morning.
Morning, Eric.
Is it
Morning,
a good morning?
City.
Morning.
dear.
Good morning.
I'm not even sure I need to be in this show today. Two reasons. One which is I was watching Eric during the presidential debate, and I think after that, I don't know, never want to be in his shows because he's has had questions.
You've been here, Bwana.
But I know. I'm just kidding.
We're,
We'll see you
we're
guys.
friends, Bwana.
We'll see you guys. How are you guys?
We're good. Oh.
We're well. We're well. Danvers, we've been running this election bilanoma campaign for the last couple of weeks, where we've been talking about let's maintain peace, let's penda jirani, elections will come and go, our neighbors will still be our neighbors and lifelong friends.
Yep.
And it's been largely peaceful, hasn't it? Since Tuesday.
Absolutely. You know, to City's proverb, I think I found an application. We've built this partnership with you guys and with our country, and we are using leather.
Not khaki.
Not khaki. Not khaki. And leather can be stretched. It's tough. It has tenacity to it. It will stretch. But it's tough. It will hold. And I don't think we were naive, guys, who think that what we're doing will not be tested. Okay, there are people who will not try to test that. People who, instead of having the country first, have selfish interests or ambitions first. That's what always plunges this country to chaos. And because we knew that, what we did was not just up here and there, it was also in the ground machinani. We engaged from here with opinion leaders and makers and shapers, but also on the ground with people, where everywhere it was a pronged approach, two-pronged approach from the top to the bottom, both ways. And I can say it was largely successful because I can tell you yesterday, as what was happening in Mombasa was unfolding, I was getting updates what was happening in the ground real time and activating all our peace structures, all our assets on the ground to make sure that, especially on the places that we knew there might be problems, together with the partners and the security, so making sure that we can respond quickly. And largely, as there are a few incidents here and there, but for the most part, it held. So yes, I mean, and I've said this before on the issue of master plan, what we do here does make a big difference. And we're privileged, and it has been an awesome partnership, at least to make sure and to be in the front seat of our country as we transition. And that this was an instrument, at least, to plant peace. And we've built these with Leather City. And Leather No. How do you call it again?
Kakinobi leather.
Kaki Bino Leather. Yes. Kaki Bino Leather. And here we're here. So we're still hoping this leather will hold as it's
Sure.
being stretched. There are people who still want to stretch it further.
Even as you talk about that, you know,
Yeah.
I was saying that, look, generally, by and large, I mean, even waking up this morning and, you know, the messages have been, let's just try and keep it together,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So are we looking at a forced peace? Or are we looking at really inherently, people don't want to go back to that place where, you know, things were really terrible? Because it looked as though a very little thing yesterday, well, okay, maybe we shouldn't call it little, but something with that potential danger was enough to spark that behavior.
True.
So are we looking at, you know, real sense of peace?
So there's two things here. Like I said, these are two-pronged approach. So on the ground, when you spend time with people who are from Kisumu, Kericho, we across Nakuru, wherever the whole country, you know what was significant was that in all these places, as much as people were passionately supporting their candidates and their team and their movement, genuinely in their heart, they said, you know what, let it be as it be, but we want individual peace.
Yeah.
Majority of people. The skirmishes or riots, it's a little bit also yesterday. If you do a quick profile, because I had clips and we're watching from a situation room and a command center, and if you just get a good profile, I can almost bet 98% that those people did not vote. Guys causing trouble, while guys who were blocking roads did not vote.
Why? They're not registered as voters?
Well, of course.
Or not interested in voting?
They're not interested. It's the same folk that we engaged, the politicians engage also. When we do the peace caravan, when rallies, those guys don't vote. I can tell you that, I can tell you that fact. People who vote are stakeholders in this country. And in as much as you voted for candidate A or B and your candidate lost, because you participate in that process, you'll be least likely to participate in violence or cause chaos because you're a stakeholder in the democratic process. You know it is part of the process. Somebody will lose, somebody will win. But these guys, they have nothing to lose. That's why exactly why they're doing that. And there are just a few little individuals that and we're at least able to contain. I really thank our counterparts, our security partner. They were really able to respond. We're coordinating very well. Coordinating with county commissioners, OCPDs, OCSs, DPS, just to really respond in time. There was proper deployment, and at least we're able to bring peace. By 8 o'clock, the country was peaceful.
There were, I remember, before we went into this, the last time you were here, and we also said, look, there are places where people have said, look, for us, it's a win or a win.
Yeah.
So obviously that is being led by some serious emotion, right? So there are those who still hold that position even today, especially then with the events of yesterday. I mean, we saw many things that happened that would then cement that emotion in people's hearts, and maybe are just waiting for the opportune moment to do so. I mean, in no way am I saying, Danvers, that, people are, largely holding on to peace, but just give them a moment and this is going to come out. That's not what I'm saying. But we can't run away from the emotion that people are feeling now. And the question is, how then must those around them, the person that you feel is in a vulnerable situation, how then must that be dealt with? Because we can't run away from the seriousness that they feel it with.
Okay. So I'll start from your first part of the question and the second part of the question. Because it's a complex question. I don't know why you gave me a challenging question today morning.
I know.
But it's all right.
It's still 7 o'clock.
I have not had my coffee yet. Lesson learned, and I practice this myself. Beware of echo chambers. An echo chamber. Beware of friends or people that will tell you what you want to hear rather than the truth. It is dangerous. It is very dangerous, especially as leaders. You have an obligation to surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth as it is. If the king is naked, the king is naked. Okay? What we saw prior to what you saw yesterday and you saw it on social media platforms, is every camp believed they had won. Okay.
Did they believe?
They actually did believe. Let me tell you something. I on the morning after elections, actually that morning, sometime about 9 o'clock, because I was up the whole night, slept a couple of hours, was awakened by calls because things happening online, and both camps starting to post the results and say they have won, they have tallied.
Yep.
And I come to that a little bit later. I called because I knew key people on both sides who were, tallying, let's put it that way. I said, what's going on? I listen. I call this guys, Now, we actually, just like your media house and other media houses, we had an API from IBC because we're critical stakeholder in this process. And of course, we had to do ours. Guys, if anybody was doing this process, it is a tedious, heavy, resource sucking, intensive process. You don't just do it a couple of hours later, you're done.
Yep.
It doesn't work. By the time we finished, it took a couple of days, and we had to do it 3-4 times to make sure we were very, very sure of what we were seeing. So I called these guys. They're like, no, we have it. And everybody generally believed it. Now, I was in primary school a couple of years back. Well, maybe 30 years back or so. Class 1. The first lesson I learned in arithmetic is addition. That 1 plus 1 can only be 2. Now, if you want to make it 2.5 of 11, now you have a problem. Now, you are the problem. The axiom, it's called in mathematics, is very clear. The line that you draw, it has to be very clear. 1 plus 1 can only be 2. And 2 plus 2 can only be 4. Now, if I want it to be 5, I will justify why 1 plus 1. I'll make it up. And that's exactly what you were saying. And then I called it out. Now, that's why people want to do press conferences. I called them back, like, guys, chill down. First of all, this is like a day before. IBC is chilled. And everybody kind of chilled. One side really, really, really listened to me. They called down their bloggers. They started stop posting their numbers and said, guys, just chill. The guys kept on doing it. Now, to answer your question, they genuinely believed it. Genuinely believe it. All right.
From their tallies.
Yeah.
So they were adding 1 and 1 and they were getting 3.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
And from the same pool of information.
That's what perplexed me. And I was asking both actually the other day, like, okay, I don't understand how from the same pool you can arrive at 2 different numbers. I mean, it's just the way it is. Now, you know what it is because, and I've been there and in the forefront, is because more oftentimes than not, so leaders ostracize people who tell them the truth as it is. Okay, and you bring close people that will tell you exactly what you want to believe.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, and I'm not saying this in a critical manner or to disparage anybody, it's so easy to believe a lie. A lie becomes truth. I was critical, and you saw our spat with Facebook. My issue wasn't just a hate speech, but the issue was both misinformation and disinformation. Because the average person will believe you, Eric, undo or City because of your position. If you post something right now on your handle, true or false, they will believe it. They will not criticize it. They're not critical thinking. They're like, Eric said it, it's the truth.
Yep.
You said it, that's it. They won't even think twice. That's the average person. Now, that's the question. The second point of how they feel. Let me tell you something. If you've been through this process, I don't know if you've been in a political process or any process that you have to compete for something. A loss is a loss and it is painful and it's devastating and it is crashing. It is not easy. Folks have spent a lot of resources. Let me even start from the races that didn't get attention, the NMCA seat, to the MP seat, to senator, women rep, and governor. They were 16,000, about 16,200 people who were competing for all these positions, about 1,882 elected positions. That's an attrition rate of approximately 90%. 90% of the chance you were going to lose. Okay? But somehow, if you're a politician, you're not just optimistic, but it's something that gets in your mind that genuinely believe you have to win and you will win and you will win. Okay? And I feel for them, and it is part of the going process. So mine is an encouragement, okay, First of all, to those who competed, okay. Secondly, to the followers that we were asking. I know it's crashing, devastating, but I have to be very objective here, and not that I am being indifferent to how the emotional people are feeling. Here it is. I am not a fan. I mean, sorry, I will not get people to listen to your show by saying this, but I'm not a fan of the Premier League, okay? But people do. People watch it, and I get it. I am still stuck with the NFL, so you're over it. Not the NBA. So people are emotionally invested. Even using my case, you're invested to your team. My team is the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, I'm emotionally invested. But one thing I purposed, I'll be objective. If I see they are sucking this season, I will not really put my hopes thinking they're gonna win the Super Bowl or win your team to win the Premier League. I mean, if it's bad, it's bad. So if there's a team that has been losing, that is very famous, I don't want to crash their hopes for those people of that team. I mean, you don't have much hopes for this season. So manage your expectations. So to the people, let's be objective also as Kenyans, that as we went through this process, we knew that for a fact there's going to be somebody who will win and somebody who will not win. Let me use that phrase, not a loser, but somebody who will not win. Okay? And it's coming upon us to accept the process that we endowed ourselves as a people, this constitution, and this democratic process that we said, this is the path we will choose as a nation. Okay? Now, given that there's contention, given that there is, of course, people feel aggrieved, there's a way to dissent. Dissent lawfully, which is the constitution has provided court to court. Don't incite people. Don't say, don't, you wipe up emotions already. Dissent lawfully, go to court. And courts have proven, given 2017, that they're also very independent. They'll call it as it is. You understand? So, to me, do this. But let's just Kenyan management. Last but not least, this is an encouragement to Kenyans. You see, both these candidates, the four of them, I can tell you for the most part, I know some of them, some of them very personal. They love this country. That's why they chose to run for those positions. They chose to run for those positions.
They actually mean it.
They mean it. They don't hate this country. None of them is an enemy to this country. They love Kenya. That's why they chose to run, so that they make a difference. Now they can have other motives that we may not know, but for the most part, they actually love this country. Because they love this country, they chose to run for a position that can make a difference for you, my listener. Okay, to make a difference for you. It might not be the person that you chose, but he's a Kenyan and who loves this country, is a patriot. On that notice, we don't have a blue Kenya or a yellow Kenya. We have only one Kenya. And in our flag, the place where it signifies our land, it is green. Green is as a result of blue and what? Yellow.
It's interesting that you say that, because what you're saying, the words that you speak could actually serve as a balm for a lot of people, but then there needs to be that they can believe that. Because unfortunately, Danvers, we came from months of campaigns, politicking, things were said, emotions were put out there, people castigated, narratives having been formed. And it's almost as though, because this is it, that you're basically, been a breakup kind of thing with that situation. It's been the situation you've been in. You've romanced it for all this time. And then in one day, Danvers, you're saying, okay, come on, guys. You've broken up. Look ahead. It's not an easy position to be in for a lot of folks.
But it must be said.
Absolutely, it must be said. But then the thing is, the closure part of it is very important as well.
The assumption that people go into a political process with their minds is where the fallacy begins.
It's an emotional thing. It's an emotional investment. And hugely so.
Even that thinking process is emotional. The involvement is emotional. If you look at the crowds and the way people respond, if people are using their brains, they wouldn't do half the things they do. Why would I want to go out in the rain to listen to someone speaking when I can watch it on TV?
Sure, but then coming to what you were saying, Danvers, and this is the thing, that it would have been the farthest thought from people's minds who are on the other side to believe that Raila Odinga loves Kenya. It's the farthest thought for people who are on the other side today to believe that William Ruto loves Kenya. So for you to say, as in really loves Kenya, is invested in making sure this country is taken from point one to the second, to the next. So that's why I'm saying that your words serve as a balm, because then maybe people can start to think differently and say, okay, hold on a minute. maybe it's possible that even though I did not support him or her, that here is an opportunity for me to also join into this thing. Are we saying that in as much as you felt this way for the last who knows how long, and you saw things play out in the way in which you did, there's a possibility that you could pick up from all of this and then say, okay, let's do this together?
One of the things, not to be too sentimental, but since, as Cindy said, people are emotional, let me address the emotional aspect to that. Our campaign was Penda Jirani. And in the English sense, it has an emotional component to it.
Yep.
Okay? Just loving your neighbor. But I'm going to use the Greek word for love. The Greek, we have four words for love. Okay.
Oh, you're really getting emotional now,
I'm
Dan.
going to go.
He wants to take us to the famous heroes.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we do the philia and eros, which is passionate, emotional, and brotherly. But I'm going to use the word that sometimes we know, but we don't understand the implication of that. Agape.
Agape.
Love. The actually love. Agape love is not emotional. It's not what you feel. I don't feel like I love City today or Eric or do. No, it's what I feel. Okay? It's willful. Agape, actually, the essence of agape is a willful decision to love somebody.
So it's a verb.
And it's a verb, and it's unconditional to an extent. Especially, of course, God is unconditional, but even us, we as human beings, we ought to be. Whereby I love you, regardless, with all your weaknesses and strengths, I know. So the day you piss me off, that mean I stopped loving you. You piss me off, I'm going to be angry with you, and I'll be pissed at you. But I don't mean I stopped loving you because I made a willful decision and accounted for everything. You understand?
Yep.
Our campaign was driven with that you know what? We are a diverse country with different ethnic backgrounds and different economic backgrounds. But that diversity should not be a source of division, but we account for it as a source of strength, that you're different. And it's in our difference that is strength, because we're all not the same. Even your body, your nose and your finger are not the same. They're differently, and they serve different purposes, but you need all of them to work for your body to work. And as a country, we need all of us for this country to work. We need all of us. And I'm going to repeat that. We need all of us. And God, in His infinite wisdom, placed Eric and City and Du and Danvers in this country, regardless of where we come from ethnically and academically and age-wise. We are here to be a part of this country. And it is that we need to appreciate that we are here. We have to make a conscious decision that your neighbor is different than you, speaks differently than you, looks different than you, but you must love them. And in loving them, you account for everything, their strengths, their weaknesses, and it is okay. Which now comes to what you were saying, that you know what, your neighbor might also be of a different political persuasion. Okay, it does not mean it's your enemy. Just that they think differently. They are emotionally vested in a different aspect, and they have a right to it. Number one, our constitution gives people right to do that. Okay, just like you also have a right to think differently, politically speaking. But does not mean we dislike each other with each other. But politicians, because of expediency and the myopic, want to exploit that, okay, to say, you know what, Eric, City, no, you need to, this guy is not good, okay, and look at Eric and the way he looks at you, and the other day he told me about you, so that I can get sympathy from you, so that I can do something from me. But by doing that, I saw discord, okay. So our program and our plan was to plant that seeds of resilience and love and bring consciousness to people. Like, guys, you know what? There's the reality of politics which cannot deny it. And yes, you have a right to be an Azimio. You have a right to be in Kenya Kwanza or Agano. But guess what? It is okay. It is really okay. Be that. But overriding that, transcendency, the transcendency of this is that you need to love others. It's transcendent.
We have to remain in that position.
Yes.
Let's take a break. It's 7:30. This is the Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Dr. Danvers Makori is a commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. We are still talking about Penda Jirani, okay? Election bill anoma, so we voted. It was peaceful. So we waited for the results. It was largely peaceful. As the results were being announced in the wards, in the constituencies, in the counties, it was largely peaceful. It was announced yesterday for the presidential election. It's largely peaceful. Shall we keep it that way? for the next couple of days, weeks, into the years. That's what we're talking about this morning. Let's take a break, take a look at the weather and traffic. Good morning.
London Mulo and DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, you know it's
Sugar and Spice.
great vibes, conversations, a lot of humor. I like to say we don't give an F, we give 3 Fs.
You and I are in this relationship, so it is me to tell you who we are.
When you ask a chick, how many guys have you been with? She's like, including you. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock. If I were you, I'd tune in to SpiceFM 94.4.
I want you on my team.
So does everybody else.
Yeah.
There's so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation. I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog,
He's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort. Nafande hii umbo yako iko na pembe.
hii ni umba special.
This is the Situation. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
We'll see highs of 23 in Nairobi today. It's cloudy at 15. It's 16 and cloudy in Nakuru, going to highs of 21, and 19 will be the high in a rainy Nyeri at 13. The sun is out in Eldoret at 13. We'll see highs of 20 and mostly sunny conditions at 22 in Mombasa, highs of 28. 28 will also be the high in a mostly sunny Malindi at 24. It's 19 and rainy in Kisumu, highs of 25, and 23 will be the high in Kakamega, where it's cloudy at 16. It's 19 and rainy in Kampala, highs of 24, and 29 will be the high in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam at 24 degrees in Johannesburg, highs of 17 and lows of 4. Lagos is cloudy at 24, going to highs of 29, and 32 will be the high in a clear Kinshasa at 19.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say, I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us, assert our will.
When the legislators are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi la Wokovu is Jeshi la Wokovu?
I can't say it very well. Well, you need to Jeshi la Wokovu.
And everyone knows. Okay.
Chilled Spice.
All right, so we're looking at traffic today, and there absolutely is not any. If we're looking at what's going on around the country today, let's start off looking into an update coming out of Nairobi CBD, Thika Road, all smooth, Embakasi, Jogo Road, Kitengele coming out towards Mombasa Road, Huru Highway, Gong Road, calm. Minimum traffic today. Traffic updates of about just 30 minutes ago. Mombasa Road, clear. Jago Road, clear. Outer Ring, Thika Road, Langata Road, Gong Road, clear. Let's look into Mombasa, where minimum public transport in operation. Kisumu, a lot of sections of the road remain closed. Businesses remain closed this morning. Migori also, no public transportation. Situation can be termed as fluid. Eldoret areas calm. Nakuru, Machakos, Kitui, Nyeri, calm. Muranga, Kiambu. That is the general traffic situation around the country. Very minimal traffic this morning at 7:30. And we're looking at the same thing on our maps today. Traffic is not an issue today. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let us know what's going on where you are.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
24 to 8. We continue.
Mornings done right. 94.
Talking about peace and maintaining peace. Before we took a break, City, you wanted to ask a question or make a contribution.
You know yes, Eric.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Whatever happens in the political sphere, or let me say, whatever the public sees in the political sphere, is very rarely what is actually happening. Very rarely. The unfortunate thing about our electoral process is that beyond what we all want, which is peace is what everybody wants, the process has been dominated by a narrative that I personally do not know how we are ever going to overcome. And when I say the process, I mean the process involving everyone. It's not as though there's somebody who is exempt from it. How it is we actually get to win elections. But it doesn't start with the elections, it starts with the nominations. It's like over time, what we seem to have done, we've indoctrinated and we've conditioned our people to believe that an electoral process has to be ingenuine. There has to be something wrong about it. Otherwise, it is not an electoral process. The complaints don't begin when we get to D-Day like now. When you are electing any political aspirant for any political position, there are always complaints, and it begins with nominations. Now, the build-up to this leads us to a point where even where something can be straightforward and trustworthy, you will mistrust it. And even when the explanation given is the only explanation, you will cast doubt and say, no, are we really sure that this is it? To the point where, at least I'm talking from my point of view, I'm not even certain who is speaking the truth. I'm not certain whether we are dealing with a situation where our electoral process is not a question of how well we vote, but who uses the machinery that has been there for the longest time to outsmart the other so that they end up being the winner. Because you're talking about voter bribery. Who will cast the first stone? If you're talking about influencing the voter, who will cast the first stone? He who is without sin, who is it? If you're talking about influencing people in positions of authority, who doesn't try to do it? So really, from where I sit, the person who ends up winning is the person who has understood the system better or understood it and has been able to manipulate it better than the other. Now, surely...
So you're saying it's not the will of the people?
I'm saying it is... No, it is
so
really...
the will of the people is manipulated.
It is the will because that will has been manipulated. So insofar as that will is manipulated, it is the will because you're not forced to go and vote. You're not forced to take a bribe. You're not forced to be manipulated. You accept. So it is the will of the people. But I'm saying it is a sorry state. Because if indeed that is the truth, then our electoral process is in a truly sorry state. But you know the real sorry state, Eric, is because the damage that process does to you psychologically, the damage that it does even to your soul, because you're compromised to a point where you have to ask yourself, what sort of person are you really? Now, that is, in my opinion, the soul of the Kenyan voter. There are many who actually vote genuinely. But then, again, if I'm casting this mind of doubt that I have developed, what is genuine and what isn't, really?
Is it a reflection, now that you are giving a prognosis, but let's ask ourselves this in context now. Is it a reflection of the kind of people, and this is not a criticism in a negative sense, of the kind of people we generally are as a country, or as Kenyans? I'm asking this in context because, I mean, personally, having spent most of my life out of the country, when I came back, one of the culture shock that I found was the general, I think, dishonesty of our people. That I cannot leave my phone in a restaurant or a mat and find it. As a matter of fact, leave alone leave it. Somebody will try to get out from me from a pickpocket or something. Leave alone leave it somewhere. That I cannot deal in any business venture in faith. I used to tell folks here, the currency in the US is not the dollar. The currency is trust. You trust strangers. They will do the right thing. There's an inherent sense to do what is right. Here, there's an inherent sense to survive, to cut shortcuts, just to do the wrong thing. I remember this, and I just remember this. I drove first from the airport, and when I left, there was nothing like an Eastern bypass. So because of traffic, cut through the Eastern bypass, and that place was non-existent. I left like 20-something years ago, and I was perplexed and finding incredulous of, for lack of a better, the chaos of the constructions, the apartments, the release towards Mlolongo, on that side. Let's look at how we build our buildings. That if you, even when there are codes, somebody will use the wrong materials, cut shortcuts, and buildings collapse. When a road is not done anywhere, quick to criticize the Chinese. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of them. But give a Kenyan contractor a road to build. Show me one who does the right thing. Show me. There's a phrase in Jerusalem, in Isaiah says, show me one who does right in Jerusalem. And I'll pardon you. Show me one
who does right in Kenya.
Who does right. Show me a contractor who does right. You need to give him something to do. And by the way, I don't know who built this studio. This is a world-class studio. But I can tell you, the materials are not from here. Or I can almost suspect, or because of the excellence of this place. And I'm not saying I don't know, but I'm just I cannot look at something and say, nah, this is not from here. You understand? Or the workmanship is not local to an extent. You understand? Why? Because what I'm saying is, if you look at how we operate, how we do things, how we engage one another, the average person city, they're out to get you. Come on, biashara. You understand? They're out to steal. You can't just say, you know what, let's make a genuine. I've done deals, not in this country, worth thousands of dollars, millions of Kenyan shillings with people I do not know. They gave me their money to deliver things that I will deliver later, and they don't know me. But because of the trust, I delivered to exact specifications. You understand? Patia mtu kwenye pesa yako. Ukuta tu naye leo, mwambie, here's 1 million shillings. Go get me 3 bags of coffee.
And they deliver.
Daktari, make a mistake and send M-Pesa to the wrong number.
Yeah.
Huh? You want to do a test? Send it to the wrong number and see what happens.
So
the person may be willing, but it's as a fuliza unajua mess.
But M-Pesa said they can return your body regardless of fuliza. But
no, they will tell you this person has not responded. I am saying because it's happened to me more than once. Yes. It's M-Pesa now apologize and say, in Kiswahili, amekataa.
Yes. So are we saying essentially that these behaviors that we are seeing, take a cross section of that, and that's where you get your leaders from?
Not even that. It's intrinsic. What I'm trying to say, it's intrinsic in our nature to be disingenuous, to be dishonest, to be deceptive. Just not to do the right thing.
You know, we've entrenched dishonesty as a value system in this country.
So this intrinsicness to do it right now comes to play now during elections.
Yes, it does.
It expresses itself because, forgive me to say using biblical phrases, a good well can only give good water. Bitter well, salty well, can give salty water. So during an election, we express ourselves in our true nature.
Yeah.
Which is deceptive, dishonesty, and all that. So we shouldn't blame so much the poor people, the situation.
So it's not the situation. Are we saying that it's not a tempered situation? It's not that your, preferred candidate did not win or that you are not happy with things. Is you're saying nature intrinsically then makes people behave this way? Because if that was the case, then why do we not see the same things happen in other countries who have quote unquote mature democracies whereby you're, the person that you didn't require or the person that you did not support wins, but you're still able to go ahead with life
Because if you spend time with those places, you go to Germany, if you go to Norway, and you see how even just the average person lives their life, they do what is right all the time. If a traffic light is red, they will stop, whether there is no kind of intersection, whether there's a police watching, or there's a camera, they will stop. You understand? Because it is what is expected of you. It's a law, right. And you do right. Whether somebody's mimi na traffic light usiku, ada samchara sai utapigiwa I'm the one who stop, and people are hooting at me. I'm like, hold on. It is red. Yes. Why are you hooting at me? I'm not going. It is red. Red means stop.
Commissioner, let me just bring you back to
so
today, to what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. We saw the 4 commissioners led by the vice chairperson addressing a separate media conference yesterday, and the chairperson and his original 3 commissioners are left at Bomas. Now, as NCIC, you recently established a committee called the Kenya Eminent Panel for Peace, led by Ambassador Francis Mudaura. It included Archbishop Emeritus Francis Jackson Ole Sapit, Archbishop Anyolo. It has mediators like Lieutenant General Sumbeyo. Is this part of their mandate, like to reach out to these warring factions? Because their mandate here, you've said, is one of them is facilitating dialogue and mediation between disputing parties to reduce hostilities and ensure the political transition is not turbulent while promoting consensus building. Assignment number 1.
Actually, right before you saw what you saw yesterday, first of all, they're independent. We say, you know what, you do your thing. Because some people can blame and say it can be partisan or it's part of the government. So that's why we've appointed them so that they can be eminent people respected. We ran that list with both parties. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with these guys? For the most part, they of course, they said, okay, I don't want 1 or 2. But generally speaking, they're okay with it. Prior to what you saw yesterday, we had initiated, they were rather started their work behind the scenes, reaching out to both parties, ensuring that however the outcome comes, at least there will be sobriety to conversation. As it happened, they were there actually. Some of them were in bombers. The Archbishop, His Grace Osapit was there. We had discussions with him, Bishop Oginde, and we were having actually part of this discussion. Calls were being made. You understand? So they're actually doing, and one of the reasons actually was to do that. You see, in as much as I say, which is true, that you ought to be sent lawfully, go through the legal process, and it is fine. But will that bring healing to our country? You understand? It is your right, of course. But where we come from is to have a very divisive political season we've gone through. We don't want to see this country tear apart. We want to bring country together. And diplomacy is key, and genuine diplomacy, whereby issues that were raised can be addressed. And I can tell you for a fact, they have been engaging since yesterday night. There's a lot of discussions behind the scenes. I really hope we'll have a brief today after this to hear what is the situation and then what is the stance. But where we come from is we want to see this country healed and brought back together. We don't have to be divided through the democratic process, although the instance of democracy sometimes, of course, forces you to choose between A or B. So there's that work, and that's why we actually appointed that panel, and actually they have been doing a fantastic job. Hopefully they can deliver.
So they're working autonomously.
They are.
Are you giving them any technical support? For example, with Intel, maybe you had Intel about the rifts within the commission itself, the IEBC.
Of course,
and then you alert them that, you know what, there's something happening, you may need to.
Of course, as a mediator, if you've ever done a mediation, there's nothing as bad. And I've been caught up in a situation whereby you go to a conflict and you know the facts. And you're sidelined. You're like, whoa, what was that? You understand? Because it destabilizes you. And even the people you're mediating will question your credibility or even integrity or even your capability. They're like, you didn't know that.
You don't even know.
You didn't even know the facts. So you give them a baseline. Of course, you give baseline facts, and also they also get it from other sources and other places. But baseline facts are always established. This is this, this is this. So as you engage, at least you know 1, 2, 3 things. And the good thing also, for them, they actually supported. We engaged all international observer missions about this process. The EU knows about them. African Union knows about them. So all mediation, especially international mediation, the new American ambassador, they know this. So we want to channel this. And one of the reasons we decided that was because we've learned from the history. We don't need to wait for Kofi Annan's to come from the outside. That we can actually fix our problems. And we have problems. We're a family. We can fix and we can have a discussion about problems. So, of course, we do purely just help what we can. But I can say that pretty much autonomous. That's so that they can be free to call it as it is by themselves. Because, I mean, we trust these guys. These are solid people in our country.
Do I hear you to be saying, Dr. Ari, that the work of the NCIC has actually just begun? I'm going to explain why I hear you saying this. I hear you saying that beyond just ensuring we have a peaceful election, you are saying NCIC needs to ensure that we have a peaceful nation, so that the election is not just a one-off where we have peace during an election, but it is something that is part and parcel of the way we do things. So that you can say Kenyans work in tandem with the ideals of seeking and ensuring that there is peace in their country.
You know, when we were doing, to answer your question, when we were doing even this awesome partnership with you guys, there was that fear of, you only do this because it's election time. And I said, trust you me, the heavy lift begins after the election. If you ever gone to a counselor, a genuine counselor will have a very serious, honest conversation with you. Okay? Whether you're struggling through grief or addiction or loss, whatever, they will have a very candid discussion. We purpose as NCIC to have a very candid discussion about what has just happened as a country. Because that is part of healing. We don't want to sweep this thing under the rug. And just because there will be no issues after this, and let's say, today there's no right, everybody's peaceful, and now we move forward. No. We intend to have a candid discussion, especially in critical places in our country with critical leaders, especially Uko Mashinani. We'll explain the process, what happened. So that the truth is important.
Yeah.
You understand? The truth is that what lacks. Our country, and I said even here last time, we've never have healed from 07 because we sleep on the rug. So we intend now, to answer the question, really now to do the heavy lift of work. That panel will go even beyond just engaging the presidential candidates. It will take them to the ground with key people, influential people on the ground, give the fact this is exactly what happened, these are the facts, and hear people's, part of therapy is you hear people need to ventilate. Oh, may I feel? Then you say, no, this is exactly what happened. Yeah. So the real work begins. We'll have a candid discussion. And it is a hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do for our country. If we don't have, this kind of discussion of our processes, what happened now, so that next time, I don't want just to wait before election, then we start all over something else. No. We know we're going to build a solid foundation, because now we have an opportunity to have to address the soul, to be introspective, and to the soul of a nation, and have this discussion. And people need closure. You talked about closure. People need that. People need to explain what really happened. Right. I mean, if you ever had a tragic loss, sometimes you need to explain what. When you hear a friend pass away, the first question is, what happened?
What happened?
Then you ask that.
Yep.
What happened? Yep. You understand? It is important. So the people who need to understand, it's a tragic loss for them.
Sure.
They're questioning right now, what happened? So we'll have that conversation of what happened.
Do you expect, this team to work? And I'm coming back onto, yes, we know. I mean, the political divide, Raila's side and Ruto's side, and maybe Wajakoya and Reverend Maure. But the commission, the commission is split, not down the middle. Well, let's just call it down the middle with the 3 old commissioners and the 4 new commissioners. Do you expect any sort of mediation to take place between these commissioners now?
One of the works that we do, one of the main mandates of NCACH is mediation, to bring people back together, be it communities, ethnic groups, but also I can tell you we've done a lot of mediation within government. Whenever there are factions or people fighting one another, sometimes we've seen the display of that on media, like in the case that we saw with the airport issue,
the Venezuela.
You have to get involved and really make sure it tones down.
So mediate
that's why
between
you saw
the DCI and
saw
the commission.
that's why you saw there was a press conference. They say, "Oh, let's do kumbaya." You understand? So it's something actually we do behind the scenes and I look forward. I know them. Let me do something truthfully. I know them personally. Okay, all of them, and I've spent a lot of time with them, especially during this process, hours and hours, and I know them and I know where each side is coming from to an extent. And once you understand the dynamics and the challenges, why there's a conflict, it's easy to bring people together. And it's imperative, let me just put it this way. Just talk to they are my colleagues, they are fellow commissioners. It's imperative for the sake of our country, for them to come back together and move forward. Now, why? Let me tell you something. Even in our commission, we do differ. We have... And then for us, for example, we are genuine in our conversations. We call it as it is. City, if you're wrong, I said, City, I think you blew it. You understand? Yeah, I think you just blew it, man. Come on, and get your act together. And we say it. And sometimes it's really intense, but it's not personal. And it feels personal when you're attacked. It feels personal when I say, come on, I usually not say that. So you think I'm attacking you as a person, but I'm just really helping for the sake of... That happens, especially such commissions behind the scenes. But it's not good. It's never good to air your linens out there, but especially in that manner, especially in the most critical time of our country. That is the most critical when that announcement is about to be made. There are differences, there are issues, but that wasn't the right way to go about it. It wasn't. I can tell you it wasn't. Purely because you are a commission and you stand. There's something in government. You own that decision. At times, even in our commission, things are decided. And I can tell you, we dissent in the minute. So what happened is you dissent, like, listen, I did totally disagree with this position. Let the record show. Yeah. So, a minute is minute. But I can tell you, when I come here, I will not disown that decision. I'll say, the NCIC says this. In my heart, it's killing me. I'm like, this is just not right. This is... I'm fighting it. But you know what?
Collective responsibility.
That's just how it usually happens. And we will try our best, because I know them individually. Try just say, guys, I've given them the whole night. Maybe tomorrow, today, maybe it'll sober up and we can have a discussion and see where we can bring them back together and we can move and heal our country.
And heal the country.
Yeah.
Dr. Makori, we thank you very much for speaking to us and joining us this morning. Take the next 30 seconds. Send a message to all Kenyans who are listening.
I think, first of all, is to congratulate, of course, the president-elect, William Soweto, but also to congratulate Kenyans. Kenyans won. And Kenyans have been good. Keep the peace. Keep the peace. Love your neighbor is the most important thing. We've come this far. We're almost there. We'll continue to be the country. Love your neighbor, because that is the greatest commandment. We need each other. We are greater together.
Dr. Danvas Makori is a commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. As he says, Penda Jirani. That is what we've been talking about for a long time. Keep it here for more conversations coming up. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
spice up your life. The latest news from around the world.
This is News Wire, Dennis
94.4.
Aseto. Following IEBC's declaration of William Ruto as the president-elect of Kenya, world leaders have come out to shower the congratulatory messages on the incoming fifth head of state. African leaders, among them Zimbabwe's Emmerson Mnangagwa, Mohamed Farmajo of Somalia, and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, have already acknowledged Ruto's victory. Zimbabwean President Mnangagwa has also lauded Ruto for his success, exuding confidence that he will deliver on his new role. And UDA politicians in Mombasa County have thanked Kenyans for electing William Ruto to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, led by Selina Maitha, the running mate for Mombasa gubernatorial candidate Hassan Omar Sarai. They have said that the nation has found a new awakening of leadership. She expressed hope for similar changes to be witnessed in the governorship election slated for the 23rd of this month, which is next week.
Tumeuona pia mkono wa Bwana. Tunajua tuko ndani. Na tunasema ya kwamba kweli kila mmoja anaweza kuwa mahali pale ambapo Mungu amemwajalia. Na tunajua hii Mombasa tutaleta mageuzi, maana pia Mungu amechoka yale ambayo yanatendeka katika Mombasa. Tunasema pongezi sana kwa rais wetu wa 5 na tunajua Mombasa tutaleta mageuzi tarehe 23.
On his part, Hassan Omar has congratulated IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati for being strong and declaring Ruto the winner, despite some commissioners contradicting the announcement.
Matokeo ya urais ambapo hakukuwa na mingine. Wale kina Cherera na wengine walikuwa wanajaribu kuvuruga uchaguzi wa Mombasa wa Kenya, na alhamdulillah kwa ile fursa imewekwa, ile system imewekwa, ameshindwa kuvuruga yeye na wale wenzake.
Meanwhile, Azimio supporters in Kirinyaga County have expressed their dissatisfaction with the presidential results led by Gishugu constituency chairperson Stephen Kaunda. They have asked their followers to be calm while waiting for the directions from the party.
We are disappointed, and we think that things don't go the right way, and we believe that we shall take legal measures to correct the situation.
Okay, mimi nataka kusema hivi, kitu ya kwanza naomba Wakenya wawe na amani, na hata kama hiyo uchaguzi imeenda, kama ni Ruto ametangazwa kama msidi, wale ambao ni wa timu ya Azimio kama mimi sijaridhika na hayo maamuzi ya Chebukati, sababu nimeona IEBC wamekuwa mara mbili.
When Raila Odinga was not sure the bombers of Kenya's the broken Wafula Chebukati-led commission announcement that declared William Ruto the winner of the presidential election and president-elect. Raila, who was anticipated would grace the event, was now shown with his lieutenants at some point seen leaving the venue, an indication that they would not be part of the occasion. Although Odinga was expected to address his supporters yesterday, his campaign secretariat media officer Dennis Onsarigo confirmed that his boss would not be making his announcement. It is expected that the communication from Odinga's camp would be made today on the way forward. Meanwhile, presidential candidates who feel dissatisfied with the poll outcome have 7 days to file a petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya. The apex court, mandated by Article 163 of the Constitution to hear and determine disputes relating to the election of the president, released timelines for filing and hearing presidential petitions that may arise from the August general elections. According to the timelines, the petitioner will have 24 hours to serve the respondent with suit papers from the time of filing his or her petition. Upon being served with the petition, the respondent will have 4 days within which to respond to the issues raised and to serve the petitioner with the replying affidavit. The petitioner will then have 24 hours to file and serve his rejoinder to the petition, after which both the petitioner and the respondent will have another 24 hours to file and serve their introductory applications to the presidential petition. The Martha Koome-led court will determine the petition within 14 days from the date of filing, in line with the constitutional requirements meant to ensure such petitions are resolved in good time. The Constitution gives the Commission 7 days from election day to verify, tally, announce and declare the winner. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, so we're still looking at an okay traffic situation through the morning today. It shouldn't be too bad going throughout most parts of the city. Coming in from the Thika Superhighway, really no traffic has occurred today. And in most parts of the country as well, the situation remains the same. We'll keep an eye on things and see how it goes out through the morning. Talk to us as you can. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up.
All right, it's 7 minutes
This
after
is
8.
the
This is Kenya's
Situation Room,
biggest conversation.
the only
It is
way
the
to start
Situation
your
Room.
day.
We are live on Spice FM from here to the world. We are also live on Spice FM KE on YouTube and Facebook. We're live on KTN Home as well. The country, the nation has decided, right? Kivumbi 2022 has come. We have seen the elections that have been held around the country, and I always like saying this, It wasn't just one election or two elections or 6 elections. It was 1,881 elections held across the country. Voting happened, 1,881 minus how many? The 2 governors plus the 3,
Minus
3 MCs.
7.
Yeah.
1,
So
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
so it's 1882 minus 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is then 1875. So this happened on the same day countrywide. Polls opened largely around the country at the same time. Then we were told here by an election observer, from their own tally, by 7:30 a.m., 95 of polling stations had opened. So they opened on time. People had started voting. Those that had delays in opening had time extensions at closure. Those that had issues with the voter identification had alternative means of voter identification. Those that had issues with the mix-up of ballot papers, they were quickly suspended and new dates announced later by the IEBC. So elections took place across the country. And within 24 hours, counting had started. Counting had gone on very far by Wednesday morning. That by Wednesday evening, tallying of votes from the various polling stations at constituency level had started, and some winners had already been declared at MCA and MP level. Then the next couple of days, tallying had completed at constituency and had moved up to the county level, where senator, governor, woman rep candidates and winners were announced. It came all the way to Bomas, that on the 6th day, the winner of the presidential election was announced. We saw scuffle at Bomas. We saw issues here and there in various constituency and county tallying centers, with a missing, electoral official here, with some concerns being raised here and there. But by and large, apart from Narok, which had to be moved to Nairobi for the gubernatorial race to be determined, everywhere else, winners were announced.
Yeah.
So was this election conducted efficiently, fairly, smoothly? The entire process?
Well, if looking at a process in terms of what happened, look, and there were many occasions that we had to take pins and stick in the proverbial IEBC doll, right? We could have done that. And there were many times they left themselves wide open just for that. But generally speaking, because we're looking at thousands of elections that took place simultaneously within 8 hours, maybe more, right? Within 10 hours on one day, generally speaking, IEBC delivered what it was supposed to have done. Was the election conducted well? By and large, yes, it was. They did well. That the process followed the requirements that it was meant to, that they were meant to. Did people show up? Yes, they did. Did they open polls on time? Yes, they did. Did they deliver the election in the manner in which they should have? Yes, they did. Did people show up and vote? Yes, they did. Did we have instances where people were not allowed to vote? We did. Were they explained? They were. Why? Because the rules say you must show up with your ID, not a photocopy of the same. And you don't have another, then we're unfortunately not going to let you to vote. Kind of thing. Were there scuffles here and there? Generally, there were. But did we find the majority of the process was handled well? Yes. But it's coming. However, unfortunately, at the last minute, when you see that things then may have gone wrong, you then have to go to the place where you say one bad apple spoils the bunch. The whole bunch then is tainted by this last minute kerfuffle that you see. And then you have to ask yourself, you literally have to go back and say, is this one thing going to taint the entire process? Is it going to taint the integrity of the process? Because then are you going to go and start asking yourself questions and say, okay, if this could have happened at this moment, does it mean that the entire thing lacked integrity? Was there something else that went wrong? But generally, I would have to say yes. I would have to say generally, the election and electioneering process, as it was required to have been carried out, was carried out well. It did. It met the mark. It did. That people showed up, they were able to vote. As TT often says, you stand out, you vote, you come home, you do what you're meant to do. People voted generally. 14-point-something million people came out and cast their ballots.
Yep.
They did. We did not see incidences where people were not allowed to vote. We did not see anything like that. They did what they were supposed to do.
Even in the violence-prone areas,
it still happened.
People still went and voted.
Yeah, returning officers delivered. Results were transmitted. Ballot boxes sealed. We did. But because, unfortunately, bad news spreads much faster than good news does, we saw the, spur-ups that we saw. Starehe, Narok. We saw a cancelled election because of ballot papers, which they immediately took ownership of and said, look, because we have seen that there's a mistake, we're going to move this until the 23rd of August, and then we will have those elections. We own the mistake. It was ours. We can move beyond that. But generally, by and large, they delivered. They did what they were supposed to do.
And up until yesterday, everybody around the country, or majority of the people around the country and around the world, were actually talking about how Kenya has conducted its election. Remember those jokes? Well, some of them were not jokes. Like when we spoke with Bebeku. It's Bebeku, is it? No, not Baby Cool. The Ugandan president.
Bobby Wine.
Bobby Wine, not Baby Cool.
Yeah.
Bobby Wine, right? When we spoke with Bobby Wine here, and Baby Cool is another artist city.
It's also Ugandan.
And also Ugandan. When we spoke with Bobby Wine, who was here on an election observation mission, and he started by cracking those jokes. I'm here and I'm wondering, you guys are having an election, and you still have internet. Nobody has been kidnapped. There's no violence. No candidate has police officers outside their door, and you guys claim to be having an election. And we also saw on social media, there's these people from Arusha, there's an account from Arusha, Tanzania, saying, nyinyi wa Kenya mnatudanganya nyinyi. Kuna election kule, kuna election bana nyinyi bana. It was those things, speaking to people across the continent, and they're saying, man, it's running so smoothly. The fact that it's also so open, that we are also looking at your results from where we are, and we can see the results of the various polling stations. It's something so good. And then yesterday happened.
There are fewer people who voted in this election than the previous election, and yet there are more people registered as voters than they were in the previous election is what I focus on. Why did these people not vote? What is it that made them not vote? It's a significant number, and it's a number that could have made a difference, even if in just showing just how, by what margin someone won or by what margin one lost, but they did not vote.
8 million of those who registered to vote did not vote. Look at it like that.
Yep.
22.5 million registered voters in the country, and you had 14.5 or so who voted. 8 million Kenyans did not vote, and they were registered to do so
We
for
can
this
actually say
election.
7 point something million. So as many as the people who voted for the winning candidates,
As many did not vote.
As many did not vote.
And it would not have, would it not, as you're saying, have toppled things in one direction or another had they voted?
That is the question that I'm asking, because it makes me ask that very vital question. You see, the peace story is true. The process being peaceful and organized is true. But the thing that I find disturbing, and it's something that has disturbed me and it's not going to stop disturbing me, is that we have an electoral process that doesn't actually tell you, in all honesty, what it is that people genuinely vote for. If we have issues that have been carried on, most glaringly from 2008, 2013, 2017, and they are yet unresolved, are our votes padded? Are votes suppressed? Are these addressed? They have not been addressed. It's washed over. Do we have issues at the point where people get nominated? Do we see the same things happening? Is there truth to it, or is it just something that people say for the sake of saying it? Are people bribed, or are they not bribed? Do we encourage bribery? Have there been efforts to stop bribery if indeed people are bribed? To me, these are the issues that have needed addressing for the longest time.
We can be honest amongst ourselves here in this room, can't we? Have an honest conversation here. Had talks with at least four people over the last 3 days. And the question, did you vote? I didn't vote, even on the day of. So we're leaving, coming, and I said, so you're going to vote? And they said, well, no. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Through the process, and we started to see this banter back and forth of what's going on. Yet another individual, did you vote? Actually, no, I didn't. Okay, so we started getting granular and asking questions. Why did you not vote? And one person said to me, it will never leave my mind, and said, why should I bother? Registered to vote. Why should I bother voting if these people are just going to mess around with the results at the end of the day, and we're going to get ourselves in a sticky situation? Talked with the same person yesterday after all of this and said, do you see why I don't bother? Because then what difference does it make if I do or I do not? Okay? We have to be in a place whereby we're able to deal with those issues and say, if there are individuals who feel genuinely about why they will not bother going to the ballot, should we not address those issues as a nation? Should these issues not be addressed? Those who feel like, well, my vote is not going to do anything, it's not going to make a difference. Those who feel that if I do vote, it's just going to be bungled up into some of the things that you're mentioning now, CT. Will there be bribery? Will there be a tampering with the system? Will there be rigging? Will there be this, that, the other thing? Those are real conversations, guys, that we can run away from.
30% of your population who are registered voters don't vote, you really do need to think about it. Because if you take 30% and you extrapolate it to an earlier time when we didn't have this 50+1 requirement, and all you needed to do was to win, and you look at the margins by which the then president, Daniel Arap Moi, won, it never really quite got to 40. It was in the 30 percentile, meaning that percentage was enough to get someone to win an election, because we didn't have the 50+1. If you look at the elections that we have that don't require the 50+1, even in this current dispensation, that 30% plays an extremely important role. It isn't 2%, it isn't 1%. I say this because we are in a country where elections are won by those very small percentages. 1, 2. So now, what role would 30% play in such an election? 30, not 3, 30.
In In your opinion, CT, did the 30% choose not to come out to vote, or were they made not to come out to vote?
Eric, it's a combination of both. Made in this
Explain.
sense, if we take the view that they had a depressed perspective on what was going on and they couldn't be bothered, you would say the circumstances made them. And circumstances are created or are engineered by other people. If they philosophically chose also not to vote, it's the same reason. They were influenced not to. They looked at the circumstances, and according to what they thought was how they should go about it, they didn't see the need. So the question is, why did they not see the need? What is this thing that makes someone make a decision on a subject that actually is going to be pivotal to determining their lives? And they take the position that I am going to be absent from this process. What is it?
Are they convinced that this process is pivotal to their lives to begin with?
I think they don't really care whether it is or not. You see, when one gets to a point where they don't care, whether it's pivotal or not, they figured, I will survive, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
That position of I don't matter is the one I'm considering a dangerous one. It's not a good state for people to be in.
Okay. Because it sounds to me like everything that you've described is not that they were made not to come. You know, when you say made, it appears that there is a certain force that had deliberately engineered that they are going to suppress these people so that they don't come out to vote.
No, it was an
either
outcome.
by information or something.
No.
Or it is because of getting disconnected with government.
You know,
And the entire process of governance and this democracy thing that you keep talking about, that you say, you know what, you come and participate in voting and so you elect your leaders. And they don't see, I'm electing my leader to do what?
You know, for most-
I don't connect. And leader is not one, remember. It's 6 leaders that you're choosing on the same day.
You know, for most people, the MP, the government, it's the same thing as government. Authority, for most people, is called government. Okay? We can distinguish it by determining how it is there in that position of authority, appointed, elected, and so forth. What I'm saying is a combination of literally everything you've said, but I'm saying it isn't as though there was a rope around people's neck by which they were tagged and forced to go into a place. But circumstances and events shape the mind so that you arrive at that decision. So it is akin to having a rope tied to your neck, really. Because what is it? Let's look at it and ask, what is it that is a commonality in this country? It's called poverty. What is it that we find is a commonality? An absence of opportunities. What is it that we find is a commonality? People struggling with their lives on a daily basis. When you have a country where the number of people, forget living below poverty level, simply not being able to make a living to survive and to have a meal a day, and it rises, do you need other indicators that you have a genuine problem? Now, you ask yourself, these individuals, what do you think occupies their mind? How to vote for someone, or who is going to be a better leader, or how to survive? Human beings, your own survival is of far more importance to you than whether somebody takes this position or doesn't take this position. Doesn't matter. And that is the reason why that politician is looked at as a source. So if the person brings you some money, good.
Okay. In 2013, 14.35 million people turned out to vote. In 2017, 15 million people turned out to vote.
Yes.
The first election. We're talking about the election before it was nullified, right?
Yes.
It's still, you can see a drop as from 16% of the people who did not turn out to vote in 2013, and then it goes into 20% of the people who didn't turn out to vote in 2013, into 35% of the people who didn't turn out to vote in 2022. There were around 4 million or so people who did not vote in 2017, the first election. There were around, we're talking about 7 million or so people who did not turn out to vote. If we consider that it's 2.5 million people who were added into the voters' roll this year, so we are saying the 5 million that did not vote in 2017, plus the 2.5 million people that were registered to vote this time, is equivalent to the number of people that did not vote this time. So it's a constant 5 million or so people who are registering to vote, or who are registered to vote, or maybe registered and participated in a previous election, but in the last 3 elections they haven't participated.
Arithmetically, you could look at it that way.
What is the cause? What then would be the thing? Are we talking about dissatisfaction with the electoral process, disconnection with the concept of government and your participation in it and your role in it?
See, I would add a variable to it. I would add just the number of people who are now in the role or the register of voters. That keeps increasing with every election.
Yes.
Okay? Attrition aside, you would expect, as you see, with every election since 2013, the numbers of those who actually voted increased. Now, the significant issue, and that the one I pinpointed my perspective on, was from the 15 million of last year, given the numbers increase in terms of those who were
last
registered.
election.
Yeah, last election, sorry. I would have thought that more people would have voted, and they didn't.
Because the number of registered voters increased?
We have had a steady increase in the number of voters who are registered. We've had a steady increase in the number of people who actually vote.
So I can see the conundrum, CT, because then if you have registered voters increasing election year on election year, then the next viable, action in your mind would be that these folks are going to vote.
Yes.
That if they're registering and we're having that number increase, that they're going to vote. So the question that is lingering is, why didn't they? And I think you can't have one answer to this. There are very many reasons as to why many people have not voted. If we're looking at 7.5 million people, like you said, a third of the registered voters voted for one, another third voted for another, and another third did not vote. Okay? And that's why I'm saying that the reasons as to why that happened need to be addressed. Voter apathy is one of them, that's for sure. People have this lackluster approach to, okay, whatever. It'll come, it'll go. My contribution doesn't matter, right? There are those who feel, unfortunately, downplayed by the system, whatever that system may be. That you voted, you felt that you did everything that you needed to do in terms of your civic duty and responsibility, and then you felt let down for whatever reason. Or that there are those who just feel that it doesn't contribute to anything, that it doesn't, one drop in the ocean does not make a difference. But there are many reasons here that need to be taken care of. Where are you going to get to the point where you have the majority of those who registered actually coming out and voting and knowing, not feeling, knowing that their contribution has made a difference at the end of the day?
I think there's a lot of voter education that needs to take place.
Indeed.
Right? Well, they distinguish between voter education and civic education. Civic education that needs to take place so that you understand your role in government, you understand what government ought to do, what you ought to do to keep government in check so that the government then works and functions as a facilitator. You're paying taxes, then those taxes need to make sense for you. If you just start at the targets of the number of people who were to be registered this time in the rapid registration exercise by IEBC, 6 million, a quarter of them registered. The other quarter didn't, despite an extension and all, right? And then look at the number of people who have, again, not turned up to vote. And look at the system, the political system and the way it plays. Are political players really playing a role? Step back the last 20 years, all right? From Kibaki into this Uhuru administration. In the last 20 years, have we seen political players, not government, political players actually going out to engage the citizenry and have that civic conversation of this is what a government ought to do, this is our role in government, this is what we should expect from a government, and this is what the government expects of us, right? Have we seen that? I don't think I can say that we've seen that. Have we seen it from government institutions that have been established to actually play out that role? I don't think we have seen that. Starting from Parliament that allocates budget to the institutions that are supposed to do this, including the IEBC and the others, I don't see that. Have we seen it from the civil society? It has been dwindling in terms of the engagement. So I think there's a lot of a disconnection between citizen and government and expectation of citizen and government to a degree that you ask anecdotally, you're asking people, why aren't you voting? Why don't you want to vote? They tell you, I don't see what for. I don't understand the need, because that seems to be the general, anecdotally, the people that you've asked, City, the people that you have asked, the people that I've asked, the people that you've been told about, the people that have called you and said, I'm not voting, anecdotally, they all say, I don't see the need. Even when you ask, do you know who you're going to vote for in the next election? They tell you, I'm going to vote. But they tell you, this particular position, I don't really care. I don't understand what this position does. I don't understand the role of the woman rep. I don't understand the role of the MCA. The MCA, that small guy there. Remember there's someone who called and they called the MCA that small guy.
Yeah.
So there's that great disconnection.
You know, when you talk about civic education, Eric, and voter education, you're right. You're right in this sense. When someone understands their role, then they will also understand that beyond voting, it is your role to hold the people you have elected to account. Now, it is something we've never done. We've simply never done. You assume that when somebody is elected, then they will know what to do and they will do what is considered to be good. Now, evidence shows something to the complete contrary. Because they also feel that once they have been elected, they can do exactly what they like willy-nilly without really caring or seeking reference to the people who actually elected them. Now, reversing that, my friend, is it possible? Yes, it is. It's actually possible. I was of the depressed view that such things were not possible. And I was among these people who really didn't bother voting. I figured, what the heck for?
Why? Because there's those two reasons, CT.
In the days that you did not bother voting.
Why?
Yes. Why?
Because you've seen that maybe you voted before and this happened, or you're thinking, okay, so what will my contribution, make in terms of this ocean? Why?
When I got to the age where I could vote, that's around the time the first president of the country died. Then I got my identification and I became a voter. The first election when I could vote, I actually voted. Consequently, I stopped voting. Because it was clear to me in my young mind.
83, you voted.
I voted.
88.
I did not vote.
Why?
Why?
Because in my mind, I could see the leaders who were going to be in parliament were people who already determined. It was clear. There are people who supported it was clear. I did not need to be a clairvoyant to see it. It was because it was a one-party state. It was not so. In that system, I didn't actually see the need. I'm voting for somebody who is in Kanu, okay, and choosing between them. I figured, does it really matter? Because they are all in Kanu anyway, and whoever becomes whatever position, it didn't matter. It was a zero-sum game.
Were you feeling at that point that the choices that you had made in 1983 were moot?
Actually, I didn't even take my thoughts then. I did not, with hindsight.
You didn't look back at 83 and the performance of blah, blah, blah.
No. You see, the performance in those days was determined by how close it is somebody was to the powers. Because there are people who got elected and did not quite agree with the ruling party. Some even posed and presented themselves as being members of that party, but their actions were different. Now, I came from a community that essentially had been in the opposition for the longest time. And one of the things that seemed clear, and the president said, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. The truth is, how well you did as a community, as a region, depended on how strongly you are aligned to the powers. So I figured, this thing, my vote isn't going to count. That was my logic. But after 88, I voted.
Why?
Actually, it's a conversation I had with someone. It's just a conversation. And maybe my mind had matured a lot more then, and I was able to look at things perhaps beyond what I thought was important to me. And that conversation is what made me vote in the election, and I've been voting since. It was simply this. you cannot, I'm summarizing it, you cannot not use a right that you have simply because you think it won't make a change. Said, like all other rights, when you have it, it is a duty to yourself to use it. Something that's simple. It made sense to me, and I said, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
So the other argument that I'd had before, I figured it doesn't matter.
No, we need more of that, I think. We need more of that kind of, reasoning and thinking. And it needs to be explained over and over and over to people who don't participate in voting. Let's take a break. 25 minutes to 9, Kenya's biggest conversation. So we are asking ourselves, what made 7 million people who are registered as voters not turn out to vote? The winner of this presidential election, as was declared yesterday by the IEBC, got 7,176,141 votes. So that's 7.1 million votes. That was the winning ticket. And some 7 million or so did not vote. What would that have meant? Let's take this quick break. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
Since about shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
Emmanuel Talam used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raised a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the ship or ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Digger Classifieds is an all-in-one platform to find jobs, buy and sell motor vehicles or properties, to pay tributes to the special people in your life. www.digger.co.ke, the one address in Kenya that everyone loves to visit. Digger Classifieds.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
cloudy conditions in Nairobi. We're looking at 17 degrees. We'll see highs of 23. 21 will be the high in a sunny Nakuru at 16. And it's 13 and raining in Nyeri. Highs of 19. We'll see highs of 20 in a mostly cloudy Eldoret at 16. 23 and sunny in Mombasa. Highs of 28. And 28 will also be the high in a sunny Malindi. It's raining in Kisumu at 21. Cloudy in Kakamega at 18. Going to highs of 23. Looking out into Kampala, it's sunny at 19. Highs of 25. And 29 will be the high in a sunny Dar es Salaam currently at 22. It's 6 degrees, slightly warmer in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 17 and lows of 4. And it's 24 and cloudy in Lagos, highs of 29. 32 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 19. It's 30 and sunny in Beijing going into Tuesday evening. We'll see highs of 31. And it's sunny at 18, a chance of thunderstorms in Paris with highs of 27. 26 will be the high in a sunny London at 19. And it's currently clear at 22 in New York, still Monday night. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 28 and lows of 20.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
Still dealing with minimal levels of traffic this morning, and it's likely to continue for most of today. And this is a countrywide thing. Not much in terms of movement within the CBD of Nairobi today. Coming off Jogoo Road has been stellar in terms of no traffic. Let's look at what's coming off the Thika Superhighway. Is traffic flowing smoothly in and out of the CBD? Not an issue there whatsoever. We're likely to see things die down towards the end of this week. All right, SpiceFM KE through the morning. Tell us what's going on where you are, and we'll try to keep things moving.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
20 minutes to 9. So, the number of people who were registered as voters this year are 22,120,458. The IEBC says 65.4% of those people voted on Tuesday. That's 14,466,780. If you look at the total valid votes cast, that's if you combine the final result declared yesterday for the presidency between William Ruto, Raila, Wajakoya, and Mwaure, it's 14,213,027. That tells you that some 7,907,431 did not participate in this, or were not counted. Either didn't come out to vote or were spoiled votes. And remember, the spoiled votes this time were few. Okay? So there's some 7.9 million votes that are not in this basket. Ruto was declared winner with 7.17.
And the ones in the basket, not in the basket, are 7.9
million. What did that say?
It says what I was saying.
What were you saying? Say again.
I am saying this, that even as we pay attention to the outcome of the results, let us look at what the people of Kenya are actually saying. When you have that number, the number of people who didn't vote are more than the votes that the winner of the election got. What does it tell you? It is definitely infinitely more than the individual whom the IEBC reported as coming number 2. It is more.
Yeah.
So it means, had there been a third person who had stood for election, and theoretically speaking, these people had voted, a third person would have been the president of Kenya.
If all of them had voted for this third person.
Yes.
Maybe the third person is the other vote. We've had this conversation before and asked, should there be another question on the ballot? A none of the above option? A protest vote? Should it be considered? And I don't care. You know, all those things combined, and just put another ballot there and say,
whatever.
Meh.
Do you know, if you had that option, the question that we're asking here would have a response that is easy to analyze. Because we say spoiled vote, it just tells you people are more careful, they have understood communication and how to vote was clearer. But if you had the option where you're telling people, if you don't want to vote, you don't care, there's a ballot for you to go and put it there. Now, that would tell you the story conclusively.
Absolutely.
And if you wanted to be granular, you could say, it's not just I don't care.
Why don't you care?
Yeah, add something else to what it is that
add a line.
Add a line and say, don't care. This one, I don't care because don't care because I don't like the whatever this. So you'd say, a million people say they don't like these people who are standing.
I don't care. I don't like the choices.
Yes.
I don't care. I don't see the need.
Yes.
I don't care. It will be something.
Yes. You would actually see it. You know the. If you look at elections around the world, in countries where they don't have the 50+1 rule, the reason that some of them have a system that quietens down tempers is because they have something simple called a parliamentary system, where the representation and the way the power structure is enacted enables this whole discussion about how to go about the business of running the country, should we say, a lot easier. It allows for negotiations. It allows for constant conversations. The winner take all, Kriegler told us this. This is something we've been told many times as a country, many times. Now, the political players in the political class who make such decisions on our behalf, in short, the people we elect, somehow seem to feel that the presidential system is what works for us. Should we say the us here is actually them? It works for them. A parliamentary system would have a far more serious check and balance component to it than this one that we have. Because even with the constitution, president, haki, executive, that person is president. Don't be fooled. That person will actually end up doing exactly what they want. They're checks and balance, yeah, but they'll do exactly what they want.
So what are we saying about this? Maybe we can just open up the phone lines on here. 0719-012-600. 7.907 million votes are not in the basket of the votes that were given to Ruto, Raila, Wajakoya, and Mwaure Waihiga.
Right.
Out of the 22 million registered voters. Of course, we're talking about this is those that didn't turn out to vote and those that were spoiled votes. Spoiled votes were about 200,000.
Yeah.
Spoiled votes. Okay. So minus the 200,000, you have 7.7 million people who did not turn out to vote. That is more than Ruto got in his winning ballot.
Look, for the longest time, Kenya has had big brother status in the region, right? And it continues to be. Even if you look at the testimonials that have come out over the last week, again, cementing that position. When you're looking at now robust, free and fair electoral process, that you don't see some of the, horrors that other people have talked about within the region. I'm just talking about region. I'm not even talking about, continentally, right? In the region. And if they're saying that this is the thing that's happening, then Kenyans are now looking at this situation and saying, okay, that's great. But from where we're seeing it also, there's a lot more that can be done when it comes to the electoral process, when it comes to voter responsibility, when it comes to civic education. So you're taking a process that, for many who are outside looking in, have already deemed it to be one that is sacrosanct. It's sanitized. It works brilliantly. But you're saying that even with this brilliance that is being accorded to Kenya's political and electoral process, that there's still something that needs to be done. Right? That why do you have something that is so lauded by others who are on the outside looking in, but there are very many Kenyans who are not participating in it for whatever reason? And I'm still going to go back to that civic education that you were talking about. The ones who hold the position, and I think it's across board, it's a shared responsibility, whether you're an individual, whether you're part of an institution, whether you make up government, that it is absolutely necessary to have participation in the process. And it is absolutely necessary to give an audience to those who feel that they cannot be involved in the process for whatever reason. And if the reasons that they are giving, even if it is one giving that reason that is valid, something ought to be done about it. Do you feel as though the process of voting is not fair? Which there are many who feel so. Do you feel as if the integrity of the process has been compromised over time and so you're not going to vote again? Yes. Citi in the 80s felt that, look, I'm not going to vote because, look, this thing has already been decided. Guess what? That's a very real thing for people
Up to
today.
now.
Can we do something about it today? Again, voted maybe 10 years after that and felt, look, I voted, but you know what? They've already decided. Again, there are people today who feel, even if I vote, it's already been decided. So why am I wasting my time? It's a public holiday. I'm going to knock off some hours of sleep and I'll be fine. The narrative that existed 30, 40 years ago still exists in the minds of people today who are not even alive then. Is it a narrative that has passed down, or is it just something people believe because of what they see?
And what fuels
on
this
a daily?
narrative?
And what fuels it? Those are things that need to be looked at. It doesn't matter where you sit today, because that's just what you're saying. More people than voted for the individual who was declared the president-elect did not vote. If we don't look at it with all the seriousness it deserves, you're probably going to get yourself into a situation where very few people are going to show up in the future to vote for anybody. And then you're going to have to use a different kind of system to elect your leaders. Should people be participating in this process? Absolutely. People should be the ones who decide who their leaders will be tomorrow. But if they've gotten to the place whereby they are not being involved in the process for 1, 2, 3 reasons for which something can be done about, and we're not doing anything about it, we have a bigger problem. on hand.
So, in how many ways is civic education being conducted in the country? Apart from that simple, do they still have GHC in school? I don't know. Where they teach civics, I know, and the whole thing is just explaining, there are three arms of government. There's the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. The head of the judiciary is the Chief Justice. The head of... apart from that, and saying Kenya has 47 counties and one national government, apart from that, what other level of civic education is happening in our schools? And then beyond that, what other civic education is actually happening? That is civic engagement. Because there's a sense of a complete disengagement between government and its citizens, or citizens and their government, right? So those that get into positions of government just go up there and do their thing, while the citizens are left here doing their thing. And so it perpetuates that feeling of, all right, so what's the point? Unless I am participating because I've got a stake in it. My friend Ndu is seeking an elective position, and if she gets it, then she will get one or two deals and I could benefit and we could do it together. If not that, then why am I participating in it? If CT has a friend who is vying, and CT and I are pals, and if CT gets something, then I'm gonna get. So I'm voting so that I can support CT's guy. If it's not that, then why am I participating? There's an increasing sense of a disconnection here. When the IEBC says we have 6 million eligible Kenyans, young Kenyans, who have recently attained the age of 18 and would like to enroll them as voters. We are calling on them to come and enroll as voters. Only 2.5 million register as voters. We have 22,120,000 registered voters in the country, and polls will open at 6 a.m. on this day. Everybody knows it's going to be facilitated. There's security. It's peaceful. There's no commotion anywhere on the day before. Monday was peaceful around the country. Tuesday was peaceful throughout the day. But still, some 7.7 million people don't turn up to vote. What's that?
It's not a good showing.
If you talk about disconnection between what we call government, and here my definition of government is anyone in authority is government, elected or otherwise government, is that if you look at what you would consider to be a confidence builder and how the rule of law works, take for instance, if we know there's a national scandal and people are brought to book, and you actually see people being convicted, and you see the consequence of that conviction, people then believe. You don't tell someone a system works by telling them. They have to see it.
Sure.
Now, if with this government that we still have, what we saw was the court issues an edict. It is ignored. What do you think you are telling the people? What precedents are you setting?
They can do the same.
Precisely. I mean, if the government is doing it, they say...
so the system doesn't work. So
Dr. Makori told us very clearly, something that we've all experienced. You see a traffic light and you stop. Hey, you'll be hooted at. It's like they're saying, but there are no cars. They're saying, no. You don't go because there are no cars. It is red. When it turns green, then we will go. My concern, my repeated concern is we are in a certain state. We have gotten ourselves into a certain psychological and mental and emotional position as a country. And it's damaging, it is damaged, and that is how we seem to go about our lives, in that damaged sense. And we seem to think that the decisions we're making are sound, and yet we're making them from that position of where we are damaged. Now, we're talking about voter education. Our religious leaders claim that they have tried, and there's evidence that they have tried to participate and help. Very few people in this country who are in authority are not religious in one way or the other. The vast majority are religious, meaning they do go to some religious function on a day of the week. It appears that those who are in authority within these institutions that are supposed to be the moral vanguards of the community, if I'm to look at what we see you have to question the effectiveness of what they do. Calling out things which are wrong, we have to question it because one doesn't hear it loudly enough. So you talk about voter education. It isn't just IEBC or NCIC. It is every pillar in this community playing their role. And I'm focusing on the religious organizations. Note, I'm not saying church or mosque. I'm saying religious organizations. Because people believe and take in what they're told. That's the one platform where you go to, people actually voluntarily go there and they're willing to listen if they're told correctly. But if the messages are mamby-pamby and they're up in the air, okay.
All right. Mambi-pambi. Did you vote in this general election? And if not, why? Sami Macau says, no, I did not vote. It adds no value to my life. James Might says, yes, I voted in Kirinyaga County. And Vasco de Marco says also voted. Did you vote? We're asking that question as our poll question on our social media platforms today. SpiceFM KE on Facebook and Twitter. Please let us know. Are you among the 7.7 million or so people who did not vote despite being registered as a voter? Are you among the eligible adults with an ID who did not even bother to register as a voter? Why?
Yeah, and I think you'll hear the whys, but look at already what you're hearing is that, adds no value. That folks, even look at, people are just picking up and saying, okay, so look, depending on where we are tomorrow, let's just pick up from where we left off and just move on. And I think that's a sad state to be in. When you feel as though electing your leader adds no value to your life. Electing your leaders across board from the, micro to the macro, that it bears no value, it bears no addition on your life, then I think, we've maybe not have a skewed view of how it actually should be. That you have a duty, you have a responsibility, you have a contribution. There's an addition you can make if you do.
Sounds like it just adds a whole burden. 0719-012-600 as well. James in Rongai, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, guys, ladies and gentlemen?
Fine,
thank you.
You're okay?
Yes, yes.
It's great. Okay, I voted. And I initially I didn't want to vote because what happened yesterday. It is a bungle election, needless to say.
How so?
It is, because how can you announce an election result without the other four guys? In fact, he was alone. Why was he alone? Yeah, it happened. The four guys went the other side. It is three sides. Four guys went the other side. Two guys went missing. He announced the election result alone. How can you run an electoral body? Like you are running a kiosk. Even a family, you can't run like that. We have visitors. The envoys. It is very wrong. It's very bad. What we need is peace.
So James, you voted.
I voted.
But you feel that yesterday's events would make you not vote had you known that this is how it would end?
Definitely, even if we are to have a runover, vote again.
You will not participate.
Yeah, I won't vote again. Let me just go.
Paula James, thank you for your call. 0719-012-600. We'll pick more of your calls and also seek to understand your opinion on this particular matter. Did you participate in this year's general election? If not, why not? Michael Olukoya says, perhaps Kenya needs a mandatory voting law like Australia. Otherwise, we ought to take the decision not to vote as a decision as well and consider it as a decision. A declaration that shows how far leadership has strayed and stopped serving the ordinary person. Keep it here for more. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This bulletin on a sad note where Embakasi East returning officer Daniel Musyoka, who went missing on Thursday, has been found dead in Amboseli Park, Kajiado. This is according to his sisters Mary Mwikali and Ann Mboya, who identified the body. The police in Loitoktok, Kajiado County, had earlier called on Kenyans who lost their relatives to visit Loitoktok Hospital to identify the body that was found yesterday evening. The man's body was found in Kilombero Forest near Mount Kilimanjaro with signs of torture. The police said that the body, which was naked and wrapped in a Maasai blanket, had been dumped by unknown people. This as it was claimed that the body could have been that of Daniel Musyoka. Our thoughts and condolences to the family and friends, and hope that the security agencies do all that they must to ensure that justice is served. Now, presidential candidates who feel dissatisfied with the poll outcome have 7 days to file petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya. The apex court, mandated by Article 163 of the Constitution to hear and determine disputes relating to the election of the president, to release timelines for filing and hearing presidential petitions that may arise from August general elections. According to the timelines, a petitioner will have 24 hours to serve the respondent with suit papers from the time of filing his or her petition. Upon being served with the petition, the respondent will have 4 days within which to respond to the issues raised and to serve the petitioner with his replying affidavit. The petitioner will then have 24 hours to file and serve his rejoinder to the petition, after which both the petitioner and respondent will have another 24 hours to file and serve the introductory applications to the presidential petition. The Martha Koome-led court will determine the petition within 14 days from the date of filing, in line with the constitutional requirement meant to ensure such petitions are resolved in time. These as Azimio Running mate Martha Karua in her social media pages tweeted that it is not over until it is over. Will the petition go to court? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, Raila Odinga was no show at the Bomas of Kenya as the broken Wafula Chebukati-led commission announcement that declared William Ruto the winner of the presidential election and president-elect. Raila, who anticipated would grace the event, was no show, with his lieutenants at some point seen leaving the venue, an indication that they would not be part of the occasion. Although Odinga was expected to address his supporters yesterday, his campaign secretariat media officer Dennis Onsarigo confirmed that his boss would not be making his announcement. It is expected, however, that the communication from Odinga's camp would be made today on the way forward. And Azimio supporters in Kirinyaga County have expressed their dissatisfaction with their presidential results, led by Gishugu constituency chairperson Stephen Kaunda. They have asked their followers to be calm while waiting for the directions from the party. These as UDA politicians in Mombasa County have thanked Kenyans for electing William Ruto to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, led by Selina Maitha, the running mate for Mombasa gubernatorial candidate Hassan Omar Sarai. They have said that the nation has found a new awakening of leadership. She expressed hope for similar changes to be witnessed in the governorship election. On its part, Hassan Omar has congratulated IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati for being strong and declaring Ruto the winner, despite some commissioners contradicting the announcement. And following IEBC's declaration of William Ruto as the president-elect, world leaders have come out to shower their congratulatory messages on their incoming fifth head of state. African leaders, among them Zimbabwe's Emmerson Mnangagwa, Mohamed Farmajo of Somalia, and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, including Samia Suluhu, President of Tanzania, have acknowledged Ruto's victory. Zimbabwean President Mnangagwa has lauded Ruto for his success, exuding confidence that Ruto will deliver on his new role. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asento. Good morning.
All right, still continuing that traffic situation where there's not much of it in most parts of the city today. Really, Jogo Road, everywhere you look today, Outer Ring, the Southern Bypass, coming in from the Thika Superhighway, coming out of Westlands, Gong Road, Valley Road, then into the CBD. Just a little bit there at the Pangani Underpass. It's bumper to bumper as you're heading into the city at Ngara. But apart from that, not much of traffic today, and it's likely to be that way for most of today. Let's hear what it is going on where you are, and let's knock heads maybe in about half an hour or so and see what's happening. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room. The only way
It's 6
to
minutes
start
after
your
9, Kenya's biggest conversation at on the 16th day of August 2022. So the question we're asking is, did you vote in this particular election? And if not, why? We are talking about the great disparities here. 22,120,458 registered voters. We are told by the IEBC that 65.4% of the registered voters turned up to vote. That's 14,466,780. Then you look at the votes that were valid for all the presidential candidates. 14,213,027. That tells us that some 7.9 million votes are not in any of these baskets. Either people did not get out to vote, or they voted but they were declared spoiled votes. Spoiled votes were just about 200,000. 7.7 million registered voters did not turn out to vote. Why? What does it say? Or did they vote?
Yes, that's a valid question.
It is. Or did they vote and what?
Mm-hmm. Maybe this was the expression of their feeling.
Staying away is also a decision.
Yeah. It is a
that
decision.
you've made.
It is a decision, but it's an unclear decision. But it's a decision nonetheless.
It could be a decision. Well, it's unclear because you don't know whether, maybe you were not well, maybe you decided not to turn up, maybe you had no clear candidate.
Lost your ID.
Maybe, Son of the Soil says, why vote when I know that my vote will not change a damn thing or count? All is done and dusted. Now it's time to grind and wait for the time when Kenya will have a 20,000 shilling note, because that's where our country is headed. Can even add ding on his behalf, right? Michael Olukoy says, we've looked at that one, right? Etienne Jermaine says, voting is the farthest that right goes to. As for protecting the vote, it's the candidate's responsibility. I've voted for you. And then Mwenda Kisilu says, yes, but this will be the last time that I'm going to vote. It clearly doesn't matter, nor does it make any difference. As long as someone has the backing of certain tribes, you win, regardless of your character. Then the rest of us, just spectate.
And be led.
There are people who actually understand the science of manipulation. That's how I'm I'm terming it. And it is very closely tied in with what a gentleman called Maslow referred to as the basic needs that people have. It's called Maslow's laws of basic needs. You can argue that when you have a people whose fundamental concern, and you talk about a majority, is simple, basic survival, as in, will I eat today? Not will I have 2 meals? No, will I eat today? Is their concern. It is argued that those are people who are very easy to manipulate. Okay? So, the question that one would ask is it that with all the years we've had and the successes we've had, and when I call success, let me explain to you what I mean. Every time someone tabulates for us the amount of monies that seem to be stolen from our coffers, it is a colossal amount. If we go with the ballpark figure of the 2 billion daily that it is alleged the President Uhuru Kenyatta mentioned, okay, it works out to be a colossal sum. Now, of interest, Kenya has always managed to pay its debts, and somehow, despite all the problems and despite the fact that whatever we earn, we pay most of it is used in repaying debts. We can argue we are repaying debts. So what does that tell me? It tells me that if this money that we say keeps being taken on a daily basis was not taken, simple, then we would have the sort of money that we need to actually run the country and perhaps reduce. Now, this isn't fairy tales. President Kibaki proved it could be done. We saw it. I was alive then, and people who are even younger than I saw it happening. Now, once I don't need, the evidence is not determined by something happening 10 times. Yes, this happened once, and I know it can happen.
Yes.
Right? Now, what then am I saying? I am saying, how deliberate then is it that those who have been in leadership, what can they say they have been doing to change the lives of the people? These last 10 years when we've had people in government, what is this thing that they, as a carry-on from what President Kibaki started, what can they say they did to alleviate the poverty of their people? They'll point to COVID. Sorry, COVID came in the second term, okay, just so that we understand. In that first term. Then they will say something else. Whatever else you say, infrastructure, that one we got. But what else? I'm arguing that so long as people are poor, they're easy to manipulate. And I'm also arguing that the decisions that seem to have been made by this government, this one, not the one who's coming, this one, did not work hard enough in alleviating the poverty of their people. If anything, there are signs that the efforts that were made entrenched that particular poverty.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And actually, I expand it not just to those in the executive, but those in positions of leadership.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter where you end up. As long as people voted for you and you ended up in the county assembly in the minority, you ended up in the majority in the county assembly, you ended up as a governor, you ended up as a senator or member of parliament, in the minority or majority, you had a constitutionally mandated duty and a job. What is it that you've done to improve on the lives of the people? What is it that you've done as a member of parliament, whether in the minority or majority, to actually champion the cause for the people? To make sure that there is better connection between the citizens and their government? To make sure that people actually feel, oh yeah, I can see this future that we're talking about. I can feel the hope. I want to participate in the realization of these dreams. What have you done?
Because isn't that what we're talking about? That once you see that something has been made possible for you on that nuclear level, that you see that, okay, this thing can happen and my life can be made a lot better, the chances of you then being involved in making it better for more and on a regular basis then increase, isn't it? Because, okay, first of all, will I eat today? And then you see that you were involved in getting somebody into a position of leadership, and through their work you were able to see that this thing became a reality regularly, right? Aren't you then more inclined to say, I and the people around me, I want to ensure that we are involved in this process? Truth of the matter is that if you vote today and your sole intent was to put somebody in a position of leadership that was going to better a situation for you and those who surround you, and they fail, for whatever reason they fail, the chances of you voting again with that same mindset then reduces significantly. And the other hand is true. The opposite is also true. If you vote today with the intent of seeing somebody get into a position of leadership to better a situation, and you see that that thing happens, the chances of you spreading the quote-unquote gospel to others and entrenching this behavior increases. Because people repeat what they know. People don't tend to go and do things that they're not aware of or they're not sure of. People tend to run away from what they're not sure of, or people tend to run away from things that they know have failed. So I think this thing goes hand in hand, isn't it? That perhaps the reason why people are not voting is because because they say for every action there's a reaction, right? They do not see the reaction that has come from the result of them having voted before. Or they have seen people vote on a regular basis and they cannot see, wait a minute, you guys who've been doing all this thing all this time, what has it yielded you? Has it been enough? Do we see that there has been enough adequate action to see people have been removed from the clause of poverty? Have we seen that services have improved to the extent that they should have? Have we seen that happen? So could it be that those things are entrenching these attitudes and behavior that have led to 7.7 million people not voting? And you could probably trace it and say yes. That it is possible that people have looked back and say, wait a minute, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm in the same situation, maybe even worse than I was. And then you're asking me to change that by voting, but I'm not seeing that the people that you're offering me are different from.
I'm not seeing any change.
No.
There's nothing inspirational about what I see.
So the
as
action
choices.
must be cyclical. It must be that you get into these positions, you have a responsibility, you play your responsibility, and the people on the other side are keeping you accountable on a regular basis. You said you were going to do this, you didn't. Look, manifestos have been thrown at us left, right, and center over the last 3 months. And one of those who gave those manifestos has been declared president-elect. What is the role that Kenyans are going to play today to make sure that these things are actually done? Can you then influence the 7.7 million people in the next 5 years to say, okay, guys, look, they said that they were going to do this, they did it.
Yeah,
Come out, let us vote to make sure that the progress that has been made then continues.
To malize kazi, the tano tena. Somebody who goes by the Twitter handle My Soap Bubble says, there's no democracy, only puppets. People elected to protect the puppeteers, and the puppeteers don't give us any power except some symbolic participatory act called voting. Everyone should have a vote, even the ones who don't want to vote. And they continue to say there should be an option. None of the candidates are worthy of any type of leadership.
Makogunga says, I didn't vote. Remember when Ruto said, hawa watu watajua hawajui on this election, they are too late. Wow. I realized there's no election but an already predetermined exercise. He went ahead and said that once he is declared the president, no one should dare protest. How?
When did he say that?
I don't know when these words were said in this manner, Juma.
Once he's declared president, no one should dare protest?
I don't think he said that.
I don't remember
an occurrence when he said that.
Maybe this gentleman can provide us with the text or the context in which this was supposedly spoken, because I can't remember ever reading it or even hearing it. No.
It's also very important when we hear things like this to put them in,
in the proper
context in which they were said. Right? Very important as well.
So we are asking you that question. Please respond to us on social media. Our phones are having a technical issue this morning. Did you vote in 2022 election? If not, why not? 7.7 million people who were registered as voters did not vote. Ruto has been declared as a winner with 7.1 million votes. Less than the people who did not turn up to vote. City, you were about to say something.
See, I'm thinking about what we're saying, and I'm asking myself the question, what sort of leadership is it, or what sort of situation do we have that when people come into leadership, they seem to believe that the only service that you give to the citizens who voted you in is lip service. You keep saying the same things you said, you keep making promises, and then there's some token effort that is made to show that certain things are being done. But the only evidence that something is done is when change occurs. If there's no change, it doesn't matter what you say you did. There has to be evidence. Now, going back on the thread of what I was saying earlier on with regards to the deliberateness I feel exists in leadership, ensuring that their people actually remain poor. And in remaining poor, they are disadvantaged. I'm saying this. If that is not true, and all I'm doing is speculating wildly, then there needs to be evidence to the contrary. But is there? Is there? And if you look around, you'll find it is not so. So, at what point will the so-called elected leaders and those in leadership, political or otherwise, understand that when you have a people like the ones we have in Kenya who are hardworking, not really troublesome, people who are compliant and are willing to go by what you tell them, don't you realize that it is actually in your interest to ensure that you provide them with the wherewithal to grow this economy? Because if with the little they get, they can do what they're doing, and you can tax them to high heaven as you do. Now, imagine if you enable them to have more, you'd have more to tax.
Indeed.
And so the country and the government would have more. Now, those who are inclined towards stealing, who think that it's fair game to pilfer from the coffers of state, even you, there will be more for you to pilfer. Because the country will be making infinitely more money. So there's gain all around. This simple understanding of empowering the citizenry that is enriched with the right attitude towards work like the Kenyans. What prevents our leaders from seeing this simple thing and being just slightly long-sighted? Not too much. Many of them seem incapable of it. Just slightly long-sighted. Just a little bit, so that the citizenry can be enabled to do the things that they want to do and to do well. Because when you have a people who are surviving despite you and in spite of you, my goodness, those are good people. That's why I said, when there were posters all around thanking President Uhuru for being a good president, I said it and I maintain it. The posters should read, "Thank you, people of Kenya, for being patient and for being long-suffering and for being as troubleless as you have been." That ought to be the truth, because these leaders should be thanking us because we don't bother them. Now, can they also try and do something that makes our lives better?
Can they do something with the leadership?
Yes, Rudisha Mkono. That's what I'm saying.
Indeed. Can we flip the question a little bit and think that, look at the leaders who, got into this position as a result of the vote. And if you're looking at these numbers, if they're thinking and saying, oh my goodness, a third of those who registered in the country are only the ones who voted for me, right? Because you can split it,
Yes, it's a third.
Only a third. As a leader in that position, should it not be in their psyche that, wait a minute, there's a significant portion of the population that is either not interested, that is disassociated, or is, feeling, unincluded in this process? Should they not be bothered to the point whereby they say, we have to do something about this, and at the very least make the situation one that would encourage more civic participation in this process? Because if you ask me, the responsibility is across board. It is on the voter, it is on the leader, it is on the would-be leader, it is on the environment, it is on everything. So we've looked at then what would make you want to vote, what would make you change your attitude. At the same time, what would spur on a leader who is in that position today, who is in the position as a result of the vote that was made and has a responsibility for the next 5 years, because that's what the term demands in this country, to then say, can I make it better in the position in which I am in today? Can I make it better to spur on those 7.7 million into the action at the end of this 5 years? To make sure that they're involved in the process. Can we make this thing more robust? Can we make it more vibrant? I think they also have a responsibility to play here as well.
They do. And it's not just the person who wins. Even the Mwaure Wahigas and the George Wajakoya and Raila Odinga, they also have a role to play. Because 7.7 million people did not turn up to vote even for them. It's not that they didn't turn up to vote for Ruto.
For the winner, no.
They did not turn up to vote even for them. Okay? That means that there's something that they were saying. They didn't feel that Raila represented the hope that they have, the aspirations. They didn't feel that Wajakoya or Mwaure represented that. So they did not turn up to vote. They didn't feel that they trust the process. There's something that made them not turn up to vote. And even those that will be in the county assembly in the National Assembly, in the Senate, in the houses of governors, should also know that 7 million people, a certain percentage from their ward, from their counties, from their constituencies, did not turn out to vote. That speaks about them as well. They should not just sit back and say, but Ruto now needs to know 9 million people did not vote for them. No. There are people who could have voted in your ward who didn't come out to vote.
And more so, this applies, if you ask me, to even those who lost.
Yep.
Because imagine if that percentage is represented in whichever position, in your ward, in your constituency, and they voted. Could that not have changed your fortunes?
Indeed.
And changed it significantly. But there's another thought that comes to mind, even as we're looking at this. If indeed we are taking the view that perhaps they ought to be concerned, but I'm taking the view is, let's say they are not really concerned. Then I would have to ask the question, why are they not concerned?
Because maybe their intent is something different from what you think it should be.
Yes. And maybe they actually don't need these votes that I'm talking about, because our system is such that whether that percentage is in or not, it doesn't really matter. Our system is predetermined in a sense. Here, now, I'm wildly speculating.
Okay. We'll go further, go deep and explain.
What I'm saying is
you've lost me
this,
somewhere.
What I'm saying is this, when you find a leadership that encourages a certain situation and they encourage it by actually doing nothing to change it, that's what I mean, okay? Does it not tell you that they're satisfied with the status quo? And I'm saying, if they're satisfied, yes, if they're satisfied with the status quo, then it means they've understood the mechanisms that retain the status quo, irrespective of who they are. So they don't particularly, because the apathy you're talking about is not in one region, it is throughout the country.
It is countrywide. But then also, if there were even logical business people, they should consider and see. Let's look back from 1997, okay, to 2022. Campaign spending has gone up by over 300%. So you spend so much money for less the number of votes that you are garnering this time than you did last time.
Does it make sense, really?
It doesn't.
Cost per, I mean, if you look at the cost per vote, so you spent all this kind of money. I'm sure the people who are, I'm sure Professor Karuti Kanyinga and the others will be conducting another survey this time to see how much money was spent in this election. They will find it was more. If the people are spending across the board, they have spent more money this time to get 1 million people less than 2017 to come out and vote.
They're going to
What
ask
kind of investment is
that? In terms of an investment, what does it mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Kelly. Jackson says, I did not vote because politicians do not care about the interest of the common man, whether opposition or government. They're there for their own selfish interests. Mark Georgia says, yes, I voted. We should learn to accept results and move on. Otherwise, contention is and will never be a part of humans, as a Kenyan politician. So many of those who are saying they did not vote are saying the similar thing. Didn't vote because it won't change a thing.
It won't change anything.
There's that disconnect between your vote, your not just right, but your sovereign power, and the power that you then donate to the elected leaders and what you expect of them. There's a complete, clear disconnect. And that whole issue of engaging in a different way with people, maybe the other thing would be civil society and social justice institutions that then should have more vibrant conversations within the community level. Because there's sensitization, and if we expect it from the politicians, like City you're saying, maybe they're not seeing any loss.
No.
To this.
Where they need it to be.
Yeah, we are the ones who are crunching the numbers.
Yes.
Well, as far as they are concerned, they look at the bare minimum requirement, and so long as that is met, these are the things that we're talking about.
Stories.
At best, they're academic.
No, I needed to get here, and I'm here. And you're saying that 7 million, but I'm here, and this is where I wanted.
So how is that 7 million going to change my position exactly?
I'm here, man. It's like the movie you watch, and they're getting interns getting into surgery, and they're holding on to this large tumor. And one of the interns says, what kind of thing is we get stuck with this thing? And the chick says, what are you complaining about? We're in the room, man. This is it. We're in the room in a world class breaking surgery. We should be thankful that we're here. Now you're talking about the process no, we're in the room.
We're stuck here.
We're
What
here.
are we doing?
We should be happy. We're in the room.
We're the ones who are holding the tumor. And
we're
not
holding
the ones who
the
are
tumor.
cutting it out. You're just an intern. What are we doing here? It should be the one doing.
And the chick is saying, what are you talking about? We're here.
We're the ones who are in the room. It's 9:30. Let's take this quick break. Take a look at the traffic. We want to hear from you on our social media, SpiceFM KE on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube as well. We'll be looking at all the comments. Did you vote in this election? Why did you not vote? Are you among the 7.7 million people who are registered as voters but did not turn out to vote? Or do you know somebody, a relative, a friend, an acquaintance, a work colleague, anyone who did not vote? You know that they're registered as voters, but you heard them say, this thing, and then you're just turning the wheel. Yeah. What time?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Yolanda Mulo and DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, you know it's
Sugar and spice.
Great vibes, conversations, a lot of humor. I like to say we don't give an F, we give 3 Fs.
You and I are in this relationship, so it is me to tell you who we are.
When you ask a chick, how many guys have you been with? She's like, including you. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock. If I were you, I'd tune in to SpiceFM 94.4.
I want you on my team. So does everybody else.
Yeah.
This nation has never healed genuinely from the 2008 violence. We've never had a healing process. We've swept it under the rug.
Let me tell you, the handshake was the most disastrous political event in the history of country after the coup attempt of 1982.
There's no Kikuyu pothole, Luo lack of water, or Kamba,
lack of
traffic.
Yeah.
There is no Luya lack of drugs in the hospitals. Or Jaluo one. All our issues are the same issues.
If you are in a room and just about everybody in that room has a court case or another, what impression does that give you?
What are you saying? Why haven't you done it in the last 20 years? But they're telling us, like August, some miracle is going to happen. My friend, I want to tell Kenyans.
Still looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We will see highs of 26 and lows of 17 today. All right, looking into Nakuru. Cloudy conditions at 13. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 14. It's cloudy at 16 in Eldoret, highs of 20 and lows of 12. And light rain in Nyeri at 13, highs of 19 today. Mostly sunny conditions at 23 in Mombasa, highs of 28. 28 will also be the high in a sunny Malindi at 25. It's raining in Kisumu at 21. We'll see highs of 25. And 23 will be the high in a cloudy Kakamega at 18. Kampala is sunny at 19, highs of 25. And we'll see highs of 29 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 22. 6 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 17 and lows of 4. And it's mostly cloudy at 24 in Lagos, highs of 29 and lows of 23. It's 19 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 32 today. Out into Beijing, it's sunny at 30, highs of 31 and 18 and sunny in Paris, highs of 27 and lows of 17. While it's sunny at 19 in London, it'll see highs of 26 and New York clear at 22. Monday night coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 28 and lows of 20.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
the reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
Or the sheep man.
Emmanuel Talamu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a sheep. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the sheep or a sheep goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
I don't think we're going to have any traffic this morning, and most parts of the city flowing really smoothly. And most of your major roads not clogged at all. Seems to be relative calm in most areas today. So we'll keep an eye on things through today. Let us know what might be popping up where you are, and talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
So when we have engaged
94.4 Spice FM.
Friends and neighbors, our colleagues, and we've asked them whether they were going to participate in the election or whether they participated in the election. Those that have said that they haven't have given an almost similar answer. They don't see why. Either they don't see why they should go because the candidates that they see are not inspiring at all. And remember, we're talking about 6 different positions, And like for the seat of MCA and MP, in very many constituencies, we had more than 5, more than 10. In my constituency, I think that ballot paper, it was long, but it was from here to Ebu move, like 2 meters away, from here to there. A whole thing.
Can I come back?
You can come back now.
You represented the ballot paper well.
Thank you very much.
That is the length of the ballot paper. All those people wanted to be member of National Assembly, former Voko constituency. Different parties, many of them independents. So people have presented themselves for positions of leadership. People have sought positions of leadership. People have said, none of them really represents me. I want to pose that question. Is that the case, or is it that you have not actually engaged? If you look at that constituency in Igembe, which one is it? What is it called?
I can't
Was
pronounce
it Igembe South?
Yes.
Igembe South that had John Paul Mwirigi as the young MP,
MP.
who was elected last time and has gotten re-elected, with a guy campaigning on a bicycle, supported by the community, elevated member of parliament. We had a similar case this time. In the same constituency, they have elected a 21-year-old young man, to be a member of the county assembly. Yes? Of Meru County. And what's their argument? This guy, he connects with us. We can see he has passion. We can see he's aspirational. So this guy presented himself and he had the confidence because he saw what the community did with John Paul Mwirigi, that they listened to him. He also now got the guts to actually come out. Even before going to ask his parents, he went to start campaigning and telling people, you know what, I'd like to be an MCA. I'd like to go and speak for us at the County Assembly of Meru. I'd like to represent us. And by, more and more people gave him an audience. They voted for him. So it is that we do not engage. Are these guys in this particular constituency, is there something there that maybe could be studied further on their level of civic engagement, on their level of just looking at what they consider leadership? It's not about the money that you come with. This 21-year-old has beaten somebody who is a former chairman of Nyambene Municipal.
You know, this is the tumultuous and strange thing about politics. It is not about the voter. Anytime someone tells you the voter doesn't know what they want, that person is the one who does not know
what they want.
Yes, and they don't know enough about the voter. The voter knows exactly what they want. If you've been chairman of a county council and people vote you out, what do you think they're telling you? Because they are telling you something. They understood you're chairman. And for you to be chairman, you cannot be a one-term councillor and then you become chairman. No, you will not have garnered sufficient consensus. It means you've been at that job for a while. So by the time people are telling you, so and so, perhaps a little retirement is in order. What you're
a little retirement.
Yeah, a little retirement is in order. We'd like a change. They are sending a very, very clear message, which doesn't require anything profound in order for it to be interpreted. No, it is just that we have decided that we are giving this person who you may consider insignificant, but whom we believe resonates with us. And for us, that's good enough. And they'll even tell you, but we thought similarly about this gentleman whom we made our member of parliament. Again, he also beat seasoned politicians.
Yep.
People who've been at it for quite a while.
Yep.
Now, it tells you this is an electorate that actually examines their leaders and their performance. They actually take stock.
Yep.
And they keep the stock. And they wait for you. When an opportunity provides itself. Remember, if you look at just the turnover of our politicians, it tells you that the Kenyan voter does that almost throughout the country. Look at the clean sweep of MCAs right across the country. It tells me the voters understood the importance of the MCA, and all the people they've had as MCAs clearly did not meet the master.
They didn't.
And they're told just, it's okay. You're still our neighbor. You're still my relative. But
I'll
just
still see you and say hello.
Yeah,
you know.
but we'll go to the same job, but just go home.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I was in Maua in December and stopped by a petrol station. So they engaged the petrol station attendants and asked them, so this is Meru County, of course, you guys. So Maua is well known for very many things. You guys are which Meru? Yeah, we are the Igembe. Okay, so which constituency? Igembe South. We are the ones.
Oh.
They were quick to say, we are the ones. With that young MP. Taking pride.
They are proud.
Oh, yes. They volunteered immediately. We are the ones. And what happened? Nisisi. So even now, this time, you can imagine the kind of pride that they have. Yeah, it's good stories.
Yeah, we know what and you know also we know we can do it again.
It's not your money.
Yeah, and we can do it again. You know, that's true. I think. You have an electorate that is a lot more alive to the issues that are important or pertinent. It is just, for me, there needs to be a willful inclusion of those who are not. And I really do think a lot of it can be done. Because this issue of these staggering numbers that we're looking at that did not get involved in the process is an issue. Whichever way you want to look at it, whichever way you want to try and split it, it's an issue that needs some attention. At some point, you're going to have to say, to the best of a majority that we can do, can we include everybody in this process? That if you're going to have a country that's working, you're going to have the majority of the population involved in this process that's working. And because of the fact that when you the only way you get leaders in, unless you're going to run into kind of a coup status, the only way you get leaders in is by people voting them in. And to have people involved in the process then is absolutely necessary. But I think, yes, in as much as sometimes you see people bringing people in through the electoral system, you also have a message that's coming out that they're sending somebody home. And for some people, it doesn't matter who comes in, so long as one person does what? So long as one person goes home.
Out.
Yeah. You know these people who are elected, people know them. It's not as though some stranger comes in and they figure, let's give it to the stranger. No, not at all. They are known to the voter.
Yes.
And because they're known to the voter, now, whether you like it or not, there's this dazed feeling you get when you get in that voting booth and you're thronged with all these ballots. But if I live in a rural area, which is where the majority of our population live in this country, even as I look at all the other people here, I will know who the MP is. I may never have met him. But the MCA, likely to be somebody I've met, interacted with, and I know well. So I will likely know. Of the choices, I know literally all of them. And so I have a fairly clear idea whom I'm voting for. You get to MPs a bit more distant. I may have heard of him and I may have seen him on the campaign trail, but I don't really know them. You get to senator, now you don't know them almost completely. You've just heard of the name. Governor, same story. President, even more same story. So ask yourself this question. When people say that the voter doesn't think through what they do you think that is really true?
No, they do.
They do.
They do.
They do.
They do.
Let's go to the phone lines. Robert is in Nandi. Good morning.
Good morning too.
Mambo namna gani?
It has come to pass.
It has, hasn't it?
Some of us, our hands are tied.
Yeah.
But then the way I look at things is there must be some silver line in everything that happens.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's like what the president-elect has done is break some jinxes and beliefs, Because I want to believe now the families that were taught to have the muscle to be able to conduct a campaign, that narrative is changing. And he has really been able to bring it out clearly. But then again, in Africa, I'm looking at Rwanda, I'm looking at Uganda, and maybe we need to change the kind of leaders we elect. Not softies, people who can assert their authorities, but then again, at the end of the day, promises and delivering are two different things.
Sana.
Yeah, sana. Na kusema ni rahisi sana. You only need to vibrate your tongue and you speak. But then when the rubber meets the road, when you find out repaying our loans takes up to around, is it 63% of our money?
Or thereabouts.
Alafu, and then now the other point that you've really made that has really concerned me in the morning. Undecided voters are 7.8 million.
Yeah.
6.9 for Ruto, for Raila, 7.1 for William. And this figure is bigger than the number one guy.
Yes.
What does this give? This is an indication of one, voter apathy. Two is that guys were not really sure of who to elect, or there was no good candidate here. And at the end of the day, I think these are the guys who will, at the end of the day, make a decision on who takes up the leadership of this country in 2027. So for me, we can sit back. Of course, it is easy to criticize. That is the place we head to now.
We have to start somewhere.
And if it is getting out of CRD, who doesn't like it? Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good day. 0719-012-600. We'd like to hear from you. Did you vote in this election or what happened? Let's hear from Timothy in Githurai. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Did you vote?
Yes, I voted.
All right. Let's talk about those that did not vote. What do you think?
My thoughts are, I think we need to interrogate those numbers a little more because let's even boil it down to our estate organizations and all.
Okay.
At times you find as a community you can agree to do something together, but then there are those even within the community who refuse to participate for whatever reason. We can organize ourselves and say this is how we are going to collect money towards garbage collection, towards paying security. But those who live in gated communities know at times we have a wall of shame of people who do not want to engage, yet they want to enjoy the services within the community like security and garbage collection and things like that. So I feel, and I'm agreeing with what City is saying, but we need to interrogate that aside and say, how many of those people, either because of where they stay or the economic status, they say, you know what, it doesn't matter for me because I'm okay.
I'm okay wherever I am.
Wherever I am, I'm okay. Because I remember a friend of mine who lived in Australia for a long time said, in Australia, and I could be wrong because I don't know their legislations and their rules, but it's required for every member of that community in Australia to vote because that community there, people are very well off, so politics for them does not matter. because I have resources, so I can enjoy certain things. And so whether we have candidate X or Y, I have access to resources, so for me, I'm okay. So even within so even this third who did not vote, I agree with CP. There are people who are disenfranchised and they don't have access. So for them, they want to make a living. So they don't have time to think of, do I vote for this person or not, because I want food on my table. But then there's also a part of those people who, for them, you know what, whether candidate X or Y wins, I have money in my bank account, I have these things going for me, so it doesn't matter for me who wins or who doesn't win.
Hear you, Timothy. Thank you very much. Thanks for your call this morning. Let's hear from Edwin Edwin, where are you today?
No, today I'm in Kahawa and Dani.
Kahawa and Dani.
How are you?
We're fine, thank you. And you?
There were debate.
Tuko salama kabisa. I've seen your comment on social media. You say you voted, you even helped an elderly voter.
Actually, I was voting in Kirinyaga.
Mm-hmm.
And after voting, I traveled to Laikipia, where I was an agent.
Mm-hmm.
And stayed there on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they say we go back to voting again, I'll still go back.
Okay.
But there's something I noted about our area in the central region. It was for the first time they didn't have one of their sons on the ballot.
Yep.
And that gave rise to a lot of apathy. And also, I just wish if Raila Amolo had directly engaged the people himself. Actually, there could have been a very big difference.
It would have been a different turnout.
If he had directly talked to us in the central region, the result would have been different.
Okay.
But the more we kept being pushed to his side by our gentleman, the more we felt that he won't.
So it was a rebellion.
It was a rebellion against the current president.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Edwin. Karaoke in Roiro.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Magnificent trio, and congratulations, Ndu, because your in-law is the president-elect. Don't ask me how I know, but I know.
Kumbe uko na connections. Nakaa tu hapa na kumbe tu.
Si amekaa hapa, Ndu amekaa hapa nde.
Ndu amekaa tu hapa nde na kumbe.
Rais mtarajiwa hapo ni jamii.
Yeye na state wako hivi.
But carry on, please.
Yes, Karaoke.
Okay, so thanks for taking my call. Of course, you guys know I voted. I think I called a couple of days ago. I voted.
Yep.
And, well, I hope that my vote really counted. But my hypothesis is that majority of those who are undecided, I think there's a talk about the undecided vote. My hypothesis is that majority of those who are undecided are those who already made a conscious decision that they won't vote or they don't want to vote. So even when you ask them, so who are you going to vote for? I mean, they haven't really thought about it. And my further hypothesis is that many of them are youth, probably, 25, 26, 27 years max. And I've seen that, I've observed that with some of my relatives. Their apathy is drawn from, I don't feel like I want to vote, these guys are the same, and that kind of thing. Now, the challenge, in my view, to those who will be charged in future to run elections in this country, is that they have to appeal to these youth by way of embracing techniques or mechanisms for voting that resonate favorably with these youth. What do I mean? The current crop of youth, and even those who will emerge in 2027 when we vote next, these are the TikTok and IG generation. Folks who want to order an Uber and they want the Uber to come to their feet. To drive to where their feet are, So they don't get it. When you tell them that you have to go somewhere and queue for hours in some instances, and then wait a couple of days for vote counting to take place, and then you'll get to know whether your candidate won or not. They don't get it. The youth, and increasingly so, at this time, expect to vote the same way they send WhatsApp messages. Instantly. And they get instant feedback that your vote has been received or has been admitted. It was valid. This is how you voted. That puts their minds to rest and encourages them to vote. So I think what I'm trying to say is that we run the risk of disenfranchising young voters, or rather the electoral body runs the risk of disenfranchising young voters, not because, for anything else, but if you continue voting the way we do right now, I think a lot of young people will get discouraged from voting.
They just don't
they're
see
used
it.
to
It's
technology.
too cumbersome.
Yes. Correct.
Thank you, Karaoke. Let's hear from Janet. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning, Eric. How are you guys this morning?
We're fine, thank you.
Yes, I just meant to make a comment. First, you're talking about, is it Embu or Meru, where they vote who they feel?
It's Meru County, Igembe South.
And even the senator, if you know the senator who was currently he's called Mundigi or something. He's a total unknown. He had no money. So that those people, I don't know what they have that you're able to vote somebody. Even the senator, he did a lot of. I think it was just a headmaster. He walked around.
They vote for the person.
Yes. So we need to understand. Can they teach the rest of us?
And Kawera Mwangasa has won as a governor. High margin.
Yes. So I mean, kudos to the people, and also about voting. I voted, but it's because I psyched myself to vote because of the narrative, sort of like the voting count, you state capture, CG vote. I mean, somehow you felt like this thing seems to have already been rigged one way or another. So why should I bother voting? Yeah, I felt as a cost, but I psyched myself to vote because my vote has to count. Yeah, but you guys do a good job, and I like his shirt. I always wanted to say that.
Thank you.
But yeah, you should tell me where he gets his shirt.
He has a guy. He has a guy. He has a girl.
Yeah.
City,
Right.
do you like to answer now or do you like to answer later?
Answer later.
Hello?
Sangapi.
Thank you, Janet. Eric in Lugari, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Actually, I'm in Migori.
In
Migori.
In Migori.
Yeah, I voted in Migori. Yeah. Actually, what happens, I think the voter turnout would be low because there's a few things. One, it was on a Tuesday, and there's so many working places that allow their people to go vote because it was just a single day event, but which the government would have placed maybe Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to be at least holidays for guys to vote.
So voting to happen in 3 days. Eric? Okay. Our system has done the thing. It's okay. We've heard very many of the callers and what they're saying and their perception about this. Becky says voting is not a flex. It's important to vote even when none of the candidates appeals to you. Important decisions are made this way. You've got to get up and go and vote. So I think there's that engagement, and just like Karaoke is saying, how do you move the electoral process with the times?
Right.
Should there be anyway, for example, this thing of, just posting all the Forms 34A onto a portal was a step. How about all the A's? Not just 34, but 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. All of them, put them on a portal. You vote, you see,
Put it there.
Tallies. I mean, why do we have to tally manually when we have an algorithm that can do the tallying?
Until we deal with what it is that makes us so mistrustful, if there's such a word, it doesn't matter what system we have.
I agree.
We are still going to be kicking it in the teeth when what is presenting is exactly the truth. We will doubt the very truth that is before our very eyes.
Until you deal with the issue. It's like all this is just a treatment of the symptoms. You can treat the headache, you can treat the chills, but until you get right at the thing that's causing these things to happen, you can dress it up as much as you want, but
Let's keep it here for more conversations. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll be talking about healing from this process. There are people who participated in this process. They've spent money. Gone. Voter, onge. There are people who participated in the process, spent money, they've won, but then they look back and they're like,
hey,
was it
what
worth
just
it?
happened?
There are people who queued and spent a lot of time supporting others. They didn't. Have a lovely day. It's 10 o'clock. See you tomorrow.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is News missing on Thursday has been found dead in Amboseli Park, Kajiado. His sisters Mary McCarley and Boya identified him. The police in Loitoktok County called on Kenyans who lost their relatives to visit Loitoktok Hospital to identify the body that was found yesterday evening. The man's body was found in Kilabero Forest near the Mount Kilimanjaro with signs of torture. The police have said that the body, which was naked and wrapped in a Maasai blanket, had been dumped by unknown people. We hope that security officers get to work to make sure that justice is served and that those are behind the death of that IEBC official are brought to book now. Kimilili MP Didmus Barasa will today know whether the state will continue holding him or not following his application on Monday. Barasa has argued that he's entitled to his rights as an accused, but the prosecution opposed, saying he's a flight risk. The case is before Bungoma Senior Principal Magistrate Charles Mutai. This, as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions says that witnesses in the case are afraid to testify in that matter. Now, presidential candidates who feel dissatisfied with the poll outcome have 7 days to file petitions at the Supreme Court of Kenya. The apex court